It's like a pizza crunch without the batter. It's like the wood juice without the water. You'll never get the knickers I found. What a fucking trance. Premeditated batter. Premeditated batter. So Dr. Michael, famously known as the TikTok doctor, but you're held in high esteem in the medical community and are known as a sworn enemy of medical misinformation. This results in you calling out influencers for promoting what you deem damaging content. This has showered you with praise from the public, but also some criticism at times. So before we get into that, I'd like to get into a bit of context of who you are and what your background is. So if you can just take us back into your early life, as we were just speaking about there, you're the descendant of migrants that came to this country a long time ago. So if you can just give us a wee bit of background into yourself, please.
Yeah, so I grew up down in Largs. My mum and dad are dad's mum and dad were Polish immigrants after the Second World War. Sounds mad, but my dad grew up for the first 10 years of his life in a refugee camp, although he doesn't really call it, he calls it a relocation camp, but it seems pretty mad that was only 60 years ago. That's how that he started off his life and then built his way up and moved to Scotland and met my mum, but I had a really good upbringing in Largs. My mum's from again Irish immigrants that moved to Possil and then down to Largs. Exactly. And then they moved down to Largs because I think they used to go on holiday down there all the time. I really liked it. But I had a great upbringing. I've got a younger sister and a brother. We had a really good upbringing. Mum and dad did everything. They worked really hard, typical kind of hard workers and immigrant backgrounds. And we couldn't have asked for anything else. My mum especially she was a teacher. And she made sure that I stuck in and did my homework and worked really hard at school, as all teachers do. And then I think when I kind of had a sniff that I wanted to do something like medicine or that kind of world, I think she was like, right, I'm going to support him and make sure he does his homework properly, which it seemed like it's hard at the time, but now when I look back, I'm like, I probably couldn't have done it without my mum sitting there at the table with me while I was doing my homework and not letting me leave until it was finished. 100%. So yeah, there's a lot of the support I got was purely from my mum. We had a great time. Went to school in Saltcoats, St Andrews. It's not there anymore. I got knocked down. And to be honest, I didn't ever think I would get the grades to go to medical school because, I was never really that very good at exams and things like that. But and I think the teachers were saying to me, look, you're probably better going into something like teaching. You might get the grades to do that. But when somebody says that to me, it felt like it was more of a motivation for me to actually say, do you know what, I'm going to show you. And I managed to do really well, surprisingly. And then I've always loved science, and I've always loved the thought of helping people. And I kind of see my vision of what a doctor should be these days is like, if you ever watch Scrubs?
Aye.
Do you remember the old white guy with the white coat on and all that? And he used to just he'd be a really mean guy, and he'd just tell people what you need to do this and you need to do that. Like my vision of doctors in this day and age is the absolute opposite of that. Like, I mean, it's basically just two people sitting trying to work through a problem, and that's the way it is. And I think more and more doctors are just there to advise people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would never tell somebody you need to do this or you need to do that. I'd say here's the options for this one, here's options for this, and you decide. But going back to your point about the misinformation and the stuff online, where it really annoyed me is that people are hearing one side of a story and they're not getting the opposite side. So if you get a viral video that's misinformation on TikTok, say that's got 2 million, 3 million, 4 million views, and people are looking at this, and that's the first thing they see. It leaves a big impression on them. Whereas, people aren't seeing the opposite argument, so they're getting this one view, and most of the stuff that you look at on TikTok, you assume to be true anyway. But by the time I came to debunk these things, like my videos were not getting anywhere near the views of that. So people are getting I think it's difficult when when people see misinformation, and it really just forms their opinion on a whole subject without seeing the counter argument. You see what I mean?
No, totally.
So as much as look, these people that do the misinformation, fine. Look, they can do it, but I would always encourage people, no matter how much you watch something, you believe in something, you should always look at the counter argument. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you've ever been on YouTube and you watch a certain video about something, I don't know, let's say JFK, right? So a conspiracy, and then the next video will be something very similar, and the next video after that will be something very similar. So you start to get further and further down the rabbit hole, if you see what I mean. Mm-hmm. But then you don't see the counter arguments from people saying, well, this is why it might not have been like that. Do you know what I mean? So people get really entrenched in their thoughts and the beliefs because the stuff that we're watching just goes further and further down the rabbit hole. So I'm like when I'm in with my patients, I'm very much of the opinion, I'm going to give you the information, you make the decision. And look, they'll say, I've read this online, I've done that, and I'll give them the medical information. I'll say, look, here's your options, what I think, but ultimately it's up to people to decide what they do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, certainly the way I see doctors these days is basically offering advice. But whatever somebody wants to do is up to them. Because
what I know about something, because don't get me wrong, you can go down these certain rabbit holes, and there's probably some that they have elements of truth interlinked in there, and there's some shit that's just fucking wild. And as you say, a lot of people will buy into something whether they're distrustful of like the NHS, of doctors, maybe they've had a family member that's had cancer or something, and they think, oh, well, they could have done more. But there's this solution here, why do you not try this? It's like, you can kind of understand some people in that respect for kind of buying into a lot of things. But for me, see, like nowadays you talk about like what your vision of a doctor was. See any time I would ever meet a doctor, it's in a hospital and I need to see a doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, people have got access to a doctor, and not so much access to a doctor for medical information, but like, they're hearing this information. As you say, somebody might go in and be like, I've seen this thing online, and that's where they'll receive like, you're kind of like, wait a minute, this is the kind of grand scope of your issue here. Here's all the information. People wouldn't have access to that until they went in that situation, and the scenario would be, it wouldn't be very common. But whereas you've got TikTok now, like the likes of your videos, it's like, I feel as if it's a great thing on TikTok because it's very educational. See, I remember we were talking earlier about you saying like talking in front of a camera, like solo. Like, would people be interested in that? I'm honestly, there's a lot of shit I watch on TikTok that'll scroll by, and I like to think as myself, man, people sometimes I get caught when it's just a nonsense video. You're like, this is shite. I like watching your videos. I don't know if it's just the way you speak, or the fact you're dead articulate, and just the fact you can tell you're very intelligent. It's like you're watching it's educational.
The way I do my videos is because when I went to medical school was really tough for me. Like I said, I'm not that naturally intelligent. I have to work really hard. So basically all I did at medical school was go through really complicated medical stuff and explain it to myself in a way that I could explain it to like a 5-year-old.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Okay, I see.
So because that's what I had to do to actually be able to process it in my head. So now when people come in to see me as a doctor and I say, right, you've got this condition, and they'll go, whoa, I can like explain it to them, and they'll go, oh, that makes sense.
Right,
because
I
think part of being a doctor should be teaching people about, well, you know, what their condition, but also about what you can do in your day-to-day life to, you know, to make things a bit better as well. And the problem with the NHS is you're saying there, like, you just don't get enough time to do stuff with people. Like, I used to get really annoyed because when I worked at Springburn Health Centre for a while, and you get 10-minute appointments with people, and it's just not long enough to actually find out who that person is and what's going on in their life. And it just seems as if you come in with one problem, you deal with that, and then you don't actually get to know the person anymore. It's not the reason I got into medicine. I think it's like kind of like fast food medicine now. Do you know what I mean?
Right, I see.
Like, everything's just like putting a Band-Aid over it for next time, and then they come back. And I feel like, you know, especially in primary care, in the GP surgeries, they could be used a whole lot better. Like they should be, you know, 10 minutes with a patient. Imagine, I used to get people coming in that would break down with mental health stuff, and I'd have 10 minutes with them. It's not, you can't even scratch the surface when it comes to mental health issues in 10 minutes, and you have to do one or two things. You either run over time, and then everybody in the waiting room's like, what's going on in there? Or you cut it short, which I would never do. So I would always be running really late because I don't want to usher somebody out the door that's, you know, got really bad mental health issues and is it's probably hard enough for them to come and see me in the first place. If you just go, oh, by the way, that's all we've got time for. It's just a shame. It seems like, the system just now is rushed and you can't really do very much. And I thought I wasn't doing a very good job, even though I was trying my best. So now, look, my views on medicine, the way forward, are that look, we are just an advisory service. We tell you we tell you what we think. You tell us what you think, and somewhere you come to a decision. But and I'm quite comfortable with that these days. I get people coming in that say, and I'll say, look, your cholesterol's through the roof. You're in your 60s. You may well be getting thickening of your arteries, and you're higher risk of having a stroke or a heart attack. And people say to me, well, I don't want to take a statin. And I'll say, well, you don't want to take that, but is there anything else you would take? There's other types of medicines that will lower your cholesterol. And they'll say, oh, I didn't know about that, but I'll go away and read it. And it'll be a bit of a negotiation, you know what I mean? Because I'm not going to... people can ultimately make their own decisions, you know what I mean? I'm not going to force somebody, but at the same time, they need to know that if you don't take this or you don't do something to get that cholesterol down, that you're, potentially in the future, you might run into problems. Because I think that's where people kind of get a bit lost, because for things that are going to kill you when you're older, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your kidneys not working properly, all these things are silent until you get a problem.
Once you got it, you're fucked.
Oh, exactly. So
the
the first time you might know that you've got high blood pressure is when you have a heart attack.
Exactly.
And by that time, it's too late. Like you'd be lucky. But I just think the way the NHS is structured just now, even when I work in the emergency department, I really feel sorry for people, because I feel like they're waiting for ages. You're getting a really rushed job, and it's just it's not a good environment for everybody, for the patients, for the people working there. I just think it's on the verge of collapse, and it's sad to see, because even when I first graduated 2009, it was so much better then. There was just more staff, people happy to be at their work, and I think people that are happy at their work do better work. They're not stressed. But now when I go back and I work in the Royal, the Southern, or the Queen Elizabeth, whatever it's called now, I see people I worked with 10 years ago, and I'm like, oh, they're like a shadow of themselves from before.
Really? Just with the stress. And
it takes its toll.
Right, I can imagine, because it's a high stress job, because it's no one of the ones you very rarely would go in and get an easy shift. Or I'll check, let's say you work in a building site, I'll go in and skive, or I'll go in and hide away, or I'll hopefully get an easy job. You're getting in, it's like you're getting in and having to save people's lives, and you can't really prepare for what kind of day, especially working like A&E and that kind of thing. And see what I've noticed with NHS, there's a lot of friction. You've got friction coming for the patients that go in thinking, why is this taking so long? How am I not getting seen? But then you're getting high-stressed nurses, doctors, whatever, because they're dealing with getting worked to the bone. And it's like a back and forward. It's like a game of tennis, and they're just
absolutely,
back to each other.
Oh, it's just it's almost toxic sometimes, because I know I would be the same if I was in with one of my family, and but people just get. Yeah, like they don't understand. Like they'll come out and say, "My mum's been waiting for 3 hours," and look, I understand that. I'm not like deliberately not seeing your mum, but there's been people waiting here for 12 hours. You know what I mean? But it makes it a horrible atmosphere. Because we're just trying to do our jobs, and you're getting people coming up to you in the corridor saying, "Well, I'm like, I know, like we're not deliberately missing them. It's just taking that long to get through people." But it's sad to see. I mean, in Australia, I moved to Australia 2016 just because we were talking about this before. I was working in Springburn Health Centre, and basically I had an eye-opening moment where I was looking at the older guys, and they were in at 6 o'clock in the morning and out at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, every single night. And there was jokes about not seeing their family and all that stuff. And I just remember sitting in my car one of the nights and being like, do I really want to be doing that? It's just, when I'm at work, I give absolutely 110%. I barely sit down. I work really hard, but I don't want to be there till 10 o'clock at night every night, just doing paperwork, because that's I do believe that you have to have a good work-life balance for you to be good at your job. So if you're there all the time, you're just going to get fed up and and burn yourself out, and then probably not do very good medicine either.
100%, man, because then you start to bring resentment into the job, and as you say, that's where that friction is usually born. And as you say, it's like, this is the type of job where if you're not bringing 100%, or if to take it away from that, if you're coming in like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to work here, it's like
Exactly.
somebody's health's at risk.
Oh, exactly.
Your health as well as your patients that are coming in, and as it say, it becomes
absolutely.
toxic.
I think you're absolutely right. You need happy doctors and nurses to do their best jobs, and they're in a bit of a catch-22 situation just now, because you can't improve the working conditions without getting more staff, and you can't attract the staff if you're not really paying them what they're worth, type of thing. So it's a catch-22. How do you, unless you somehow incentivize people to join the NHS before you can actually make the working conditions better? So I feel sorry for all these nurses having to strike and doctors having to strike, because the reality is, like, you get decent money as a doctor, but it's not great money. And since 2009, they've had a 32% pay cut in real terms. Just,
is that just in the UK or is that worldwide?
Yeah, in the UK. Yeah. But that's the thing that you don't hear on the news about the government. So like they say, the doctors are asking for a 30% pay rise, but it's not a pay rise. It's like a pay restoration for what they've lost. But you don't hear that because that doesn't work for the government.
No,
that's not a spin.
not.
But why should somebody be working for the same wages I was getting in 2009 in this day and age, when it's even harder to do the job? You know what I mean? I like, surely nobody's going to begrudge nurses and doctors a pay rise, because ultimately, if you don't do something, you're going to lose all the best of people. Do you know what I mean? And then you're going to be left with people that are probably not as good as the guys that are leaving.
100%, man. It's exactly. You're always going to need doctors and nurses. Life is built on them.
No, absolutely,
I know.
But it's always been a bit of a taboo subject when you talk about money, especially in health, because, like I said, I get people saying, "Oh, but you know, it was a vacation. You knew what you were getting into when you went to medical school." I mean, not really, to be honest. Like, who is a 16-year-old person knows the ins and outs of the NHS and all that stuff? So I don't buy that for a second. But the second thing is, you pay people what they're worth, or you're going to lose them.
100%.
I just remember, I will always say to doctors and nurses, if you look at your wage slip and you haven't been paid properly, you get onto them and you tell them, because that's you've worked hard to earn that. Because you go into an A&E, you'll not see one person sitting about doing nothing. Like, everybody's on full tilt. But again, it's just a sore point. The government kind of spins it to make it look like nurses and doctors are being greedy, but in reality, they're only asking what they should be getting paid. There's not really any other branch of people that would accept a 30% pay rise and still do it.
No,
but the problem is now that it's coming to fruition, where people are like, you know what, I'm just going to go. And they're either leaving medicine completely and do something different, or they're going to Australia. And I can't blame them. I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't advise anybody to go into medicine or nursing just now.
Really,
as a student? Absolutely not. No. I mean, when I look back, and I was when I was at school, when I was 15, 16, like, you go and do kind of shadowing and all that, and you go to the hospital and you do a different day in different departments and everything, and they say, "Oh yeah, it's a great job, it's very rewarding and all that," and it is, but it's still a job at the end of the day, But I wish people would tell you the truth before you get in. I think people should go into medicine or nursing with their eyes wide open and see, like, it's not just the job, it's everything else that goes along with it. How you're treated by management, how you're treated by the government. So I think the whole culture has to change, and I think that's very, very difficult.
So see you say, like, when you first graduated and you went into medicine, you went into practicing medicine. How long did it take before you noticed what you were actually getting yourself in for?
Pretty much straight away, I think.
What was it that you noticed?
I just realised that the workload was ridiculous.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And I was a pretty hard worker. When I was at uni, I had 2 or 3 jobs on top of going to uni, so I wasn't lazy or work shy or whatever, but just very intense. Don't get me wrong, some of the shifts where you were on just during the day were okay because there was lots of people around, but I found it was hard when everybody went home and you had to cover the late shift or you were covering the weekends, because you were just looking after so many patients that I actually thought it was dangerous. Some of the times I was working in the Monklands and looking after at the weekends, there was like 13 wards with 20 or 30 people in each ward. It was just me.
Really?
And the pager's just going bananas, and I thought, what's going on here? I couldn't even answer the pager quick enough because it just kept going again. But don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my job, and I wouldn't change anything now. But if I was to go back and do it all again in 2024, I probably would choose something else.
Well, a different career path.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I certainly wouldn't advise my younger self to do it in 2024.
Right. Okay. So see, when you said when you were younger, you first got the kind of indications that you wanted to get into medicine. What was it that kind of gave you the indication?
I think it all came from my granddad had a heart attack when he was 70, and I mean, back then it was. The treatments for heart attacks weren't as good as what they are now. So you go to the cardiology guys and they put stents in and you live for a bit longer. But he kind of passed before his time, and it kind of hit my gran and my mum quite hard. And I just saw all that, and I was like, I want to try and help people that are in similar situations when I'm older. That kind of left a big lasting impression. But I was always into my science, and I really just kind of. I do genuinely like helping people. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I like talking to people. There was never any other career that I wanted to do. But I just didn't think I would have the grades to do it. To be honest, was the thing. And then it was a bit of a surprise when I was working in my uncle's. He had a construction firm, and I think it was in Kilburnie or something like that. And I had a summer job there. And all my mates had. I was working as all the results came out, and all my mates had opened their results. And one of my mates, who was really smart, he got like 4 A's and a B or something. And I was like, oh God, that's not a good sign. If he got 4 A's and a B, I'm in real trouble. And then my mum was phoning and saying, oh, you need to open this envelope because the results were at home. So she drove up to Kilburnie and gave me this thing, and I kind of like had a weird moment where I just kind of opened it slowly, and it just went A, like 5 A's, and I was like, wow, that was amazing. Yeah, and I got to go home early for work, so that was nice as well. So it was at my Uncle Jim's firm, but and then from there, I basically didn't have to do very much in 6th year because I'd got the grades anyway, so I just had to do some biology stuff, and it was quite a good year because you could relax. But then like I went to Glasgow Uni, loved it. Very, very hard though. I struggled. So I was resitting every exam.
Really?
Yeah. First year, second year.
What was it you struggled with? Just as you say, just try to.
Because you went from it was just I went from being like. You kind of go. Everybody in medical school is intelligent. Do you know what I mean? So you go from competing against people like you kind of like not like average people, but you know what I mean, like people at school,
working class kind of
exactly.
People.
And then you go to people who are mega intelligent, and so the pass mark is based on what they're getting. I think I just found it hard with the whole workload, and I was travelling up and down from Largs for the first couple of years. I found it really hard. I was up at 6 a.m. and not back till late. But I think it was just a bit of a shock for me with the workload. I just didn't do very well, and what I used to do at school was just leave it all to last minute and then cram, and it kind of worked. Like everything just sat in my brain. But for medical school, it was too much. Couldn't do that.
Right.
So I was going into the exams and be like, oh no, I'm well out my depth here.
Right.
So I would just be resitting every exam until like. I think it was maybe 3rd year I actually clicked, and I was like, I can't do that again. I'm not resitting again in the summertime. So I actually started, and then eventually when I got to my finals, I ended up top of the class. I got an A.
So I
went from being bottom, and my mum being like, "You're gonna get chucked out of medical school," and then to getting top of the class for the finals, which was I don't normally don't like to play up things, but I was really happy that I managed to go from bottom to top, and finish on a real high, which was cool. And then that meant that I got the kind of pick of what kind of jobs I wanted to do. But I always went to medical school to do A&E. I wanted to be an emergency doctor. That was the only thing I wanted to do. And then when I graduated, I did my 1st year, and then the 2nd year I went to do emergency, and we turned up on the first day, and they're like, there's supposed to be 20 doctors on the rota, but there was only 13. So they said, they just went, oh, so you guys will just have to work a bit harder. And I was like, I was looking about at other people and going, we're 7 people down, we're 2/3 of a full roster, and like, why is nobody else even, like, nobody's batting an eyelid here? I'm like, this is going to be bad. And it was. I was working every weekend. Like, my mates at the weekends would be texting me saying, are you alive? But my rota was 5 weekends and 6, and you'd maybe get like a Monday off or something like that, a Monday or a Tuesday off, and then but nobody else had the day off, so you just felt as if you were you were just
trying to recharge the batteries.
Exactly, and you were getting smashed. I mean, I remember putting I did a TikTok video where I looked back at one of my old rotas, and it was like for the full month, 30 days. I had 1 day off, and it was a day off after a night shift, so it wasn't even a real day off. And people were saying, "Oh, but you were only doing 9-hour shifts." I was like, "Aye, but that's like 30 in a row."
And in
an emergency department, it just shows you people on social media leave wee comments,
and
you're
pick
like,
holes in it, and you say,
"No, exactly." But so then I did that, and then I was like, "No, I can't do the emergency. This is far too intense, and I don't want to give up all my weekends because I still want to do stuff, with my friends and my family, and I didn't feel like I was seeing anybody." So I changed over to doing orthopedics, which is like bone surgery, all that stuff. And I did that for a year, and I was like, again, it's the same thing. It was like the opposite. You go from being like around everybody, very busy all the time, to being in surgery, and I was basically just holding knees and holding hips, and the guys were drilling bits of metal into them, and I was like, it's not for me either.
I couldn't imagine that.
So then I was like, I kind of came to a crossroads. I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. So I ended up changing to training as a GP, but also did a sports medicine masters on the side as well, because I liked the clinics for the orthopedics. Like, we would see people with sore shoulders and sore knees and ankles and stuff, and but you wouldn't do the surgery. You'd just be giving them exercises or doing injections and things. I was like, I quite like that. So I did the GP and I did the sports medicine, and then really enjoyed that. Started working with I started volunteering first of all with the Glasgow Warriors on a Friday night, and then I got a job with Ayr United as a doctor for about 5 years, and then that got me into the Scotland setup. So I was doing the Scotland under 17s, 19s, 21s quite regularly. So every couple of months I would go on a trip with them around Europe. It was brilliant.
Oh, fantastic.
But qualifying as a GP and realising that it was not a good situation. I kind of thought I was almost kind of burnt out by the end of my training. I think I was just really fed up, and I thought I need to do something different here. So that's when I looked into going to Australia.
So when did the idea for going to Australia first pop up?
Yeah, the first time was at that time in the car park at Springburn Health Centre.
So why Australia? Had you heard of people going before?
So the way I was thinking then was it was either so my sister, who's a doctor, she's younger than me though.
Was she a doctor as well?
Yeah, she's younger than me though, but she went out to Australia straight after her first year of being a doctor.
Right.
She went out for a couple of years.
Smart way then.
She did. So she went out and she said, because I was at the point where I was either like, I'm gonna give it up totally, and I'm going to do something completely different. Mm-hmm. Like I was just thinking, I need a new career of some kind, or I go to Australia and I give it a couple of years and I see if I still like it. Because I was at that point, I was kind of I was really just not myself and really burnt out.
Nice.
And so so she said like, go to Australia, give it a couple of years and see how you feel. And I went out there and I just could not believe the difference between working there and working here.
Really? But was that a massive change?
Absolutely. Even small things. Like on my first day, I was supposed to finish it. I was doing like 8 till 6 or something, and it came to 6:20, and I'm sitting in the office typing up my notes, like normal stuff that I would do when I'm in the UK. I'd be there for an hour or two afterwards anyway. And the nurses would come in, or the manager would come in and he'd say, "Why are you still here? Go home."
Pure affronted.
I know, and I was like, it's only 6:20. I've only been, I'm not even. I'm just finishing my notes, and they're like, no, you need to get out of here.
Packed you out.
Exactly, and even that, I was like, I mean, like they're so big on a work-life balance,
right?
And they know that doctors that are happier and doctors that are fresh do better work, because that's the truth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Over here, they say like, there's these recommendations that they give for how many patients you should see in a day, and it's based on like evidence, how many people you can see in a day before you start fatiguing and not being able to make good decisions. And I think it's about 25. And when I was in Springburn Health Centre, I was seeing like 40, 50, sometimes 60 patients. You know what I mean? And it's just hard. It's like because you're only human. You're not a robot. You
No,
can't.
definitely.
You know what I mean? And that stuff just made me feel like you're just like cannon fodder. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Do you think that's why as well? Because there's a lot of, I'm not saying this for all GPs, but I felt sometimes in my past, there'd be certain GPs you would go to with an ailment or whatever,
Yep.
and they'd just be quick to prescribe something to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think that's
Absolutely.
a big reason for it? Just so prescribe something, then that
Yeah.
way it's kind of, it's as you say, the band-aid treatment.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. It's so much quicker to just do that and that than it is to actually explain to somebody what's going on. Like anybody that comes in, like, I know a lot of people kind of push for antibiotics, and it takes me a lot more time to explain to somebody that they don't need antibiotics
Right,
than
okay, I
it does
see.
to just give antibiotics. You know what I mean? But because I quite like to teach people and say, right, look, it's a viral thing. Whether you take antibiotics or not, you're going to get better. But antibiotics upset the bacteria in your gut and blah 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 and all this other stuff, which is important because, like, I mean, they're looking at links of certain conditions with antibiotic use and stuff like that. So it is important. Plus, you know, there will be a day in the future, probably at some point, where you get antibiotic resistance from people prescribing too many antibiotics, which means that the antibiotics won't work as well in the future. So we've got to be responsible with what we're doing. But yeah, like I said, I'm big on educating people and saying, right, you don't need antibiotics, but here's things that you can do to get yourself feeling a bit better, a bit quick. And but yeah, like I said, I think it's so much easier for people to prescribe something and not actually give you the full once over. Whereas I'm just very big on actually looking, like, laying your hands on people, and, you know, even if it's all normal, then they feel as if you've actually taken them seriously and looked at them. Whereas if they just go, open your mouth and look at the back of your throat and give you an antibiotic, I think that's crap medicine. Do you know what I mean? And it's just not the way, not what I got into doing medicine for. Like, it's not the type of stuff I want to do. I want people to be able to leave and go, oh, do you know what? I'm actually feeling a bit more reassured. But if this or this happens in the next few days, I need to go back. That's what people should be leaving with, instead of going, I've got antibiotics, but I don't really know what was wrong with me.
That's exactly it. But I think as well, there's a lot of personal responsibility, see, for people that maybe go in, because a lot of people think, right, I'm feeling no well, I'll go and get a medicine, I'll go and get a tablet. It's like if we talk about the gym, see what I say, and a lot of people say, I've had friends that say, see if you could put the feeling you get after a good workout into a tablet, you'd be a multi-billionaire.
Absolutely,
because
of course you
people
would.
are wanting that quick fix solution. So they think they go to the doctors, and a lot of times the doctor will give you a quick fix, whether it's a solution or not, I don't know. Not always the case, but is that way? It's kind of it's
no,
almost a partnership in that
absolutely.
sense.
I think that's unfortunately the way we are now in this day and age, especially with social media. Look, you think about the apps that you've got on your phone: Uber Eats, Uber. You can book a holiday. You can get everything right now. A lot of people come into me and they say, "I don't have time to be sick," and I'm like, "Well, it does. It's not really dependent on what's the time it takes you to get better from being sick is probably more related to what you're doing day to day for the last year. Like, I usually, because I sometimes say to people, I'm like, right, well, tell me what you're doing in your day to day life to keep yourself healthy and recover quickly from things, and they'll be like, I don't do anything. And I'm like, well, that's probably why it's taking you a bit longer to recover, because you do have to have some personal responsibility. Like, when people come in and say to me, I've got all these things, and I'll ask them about, because I'm really big on people doing something to the lifestyle to help their, because not everything's a medical problem. Sometimes it might just be that they're not sleeping very well, or they're stressed with their job, or they're eating crap, or they're not exercising. But see if you could actually get people to do one of those four and tidy something up on one of those four things, they probably would feel a bit better. Like, a lot of the time people come in and be like, I'm only sleeping 4 hours. I'm like, well, that's not enough. And they'll be like, that's what I've always done. I'm like, well, but that's probably why you're getting these infections. That's probably why you're feeling stressed. That's probably why you're not doing very well at your work, and all this kind of brain fog and all that stuff. But I always try and get people to at least think about what they can do in those things and try and deal with the thing that's worse. So see if you're only sleeping 4 hours, then look, there's lots of things you can do to get yourself back into a pattern of sleeping. Like, there's apps, there's sleep psychologists, there's all sorts of things. But I think a lot of the time people are just like, no, I've always done it like that, so that's it.
It's that kind of thing as well. See, I sometimes feel myself in the trap it, and I don't know if this is the same case for everybody, but see if you're a high achiever or a hard worker, you almost feel when you watch all these fucking motivational videos,
Yeah.
and you're almost made to feel guilty if you sleep too late in the morning.
No.
You get up at 8 in the morning, business deals getting done at 6 in the morning, and then you're getting up.
The thing that these the biohackers and all that stuff, because you got all these people who always have a quick fix for everything, don't they? But actually, if you looked at one thing that you could do that would make you healthier, less infections, better mental health, happier in general, is sorting out your sleep. So like, whenever people come in to see me, and I'll always ask them how much you're sleeping, and we'll get them to use an app that kind of, because you everything's a pattern, isn't it? If you're used to staying up at night and flicking through your phone and not sleeping till midnight and then waking up at 6 in the morning, then like you'll be fine for a while, but eventually it will take its toll on you.
No, it catches up.
But I get people, like, it's all about forming new patterns. So people, no phones an hour before your bed, blackout windows, blackout blinds, get your the sleeping masks on, earplugs in if you get woken up by stuff, and just eventually your body will get back into a pattern.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I'm big on sleep, exercise as a must, whether it's going for a walk around the block if you don't do anything, or whether it's going in and pushing some weights at the gym if you're a bit, if you can. But both are more for, it's more mental health as well as physical health as well. There's so many 100%. Benefits. But the issue I have with people on TikTok where they say, oh yeah, this supplement does this and this supplement does that. Like, I've looked after guys who have won 6 Olympic gold medals, and I say to them, right, what supplements are you taking? And they'll say like vitamin D, and then I've written that down, and then I'll be like, what else? And they'll be like, no, nothing else. And I'd be like, all right, okay. So, but they're getting everything from the diet, so they've got so they're all dialed in. So it's not that they're taking super supplements to make themselves better. They're just like very good on their recovery, and they're eating the right things, and they're sleeping well, and they're doing all this stuff. But people seem to think that all these athletes are taking millions of supplements because the supplements are sponsoring the thing, but in reality they're taking less than what I was taking. So it's crazy. But if you just did the basic stuff, but the problem is me talking about sleep or exercise or diet or like stress, it's not sexy, and it doesn't get it clicks, does it? It doesn't make anybody any money.
It's that personal responsibility thing. But I was curious, see, yourself being a doctor, see, actually, is there a stigma around if somebody walks in and it's clearly their lifestyle's causing an issue?
Yeah.
Is there a stigma to telling somebody, knowing so many words, but basically saying, listen, this is your own kind of lifestyle? Is that kind of frowned upon by medical community?
There's definitely ways of saying it that you can make it a bit easier for people to hear, but sometimes I think we're worried about offending people these days, you know what I mean? But look, I completely get what you're saying as well. I get frustrated because I spend a lot of time with people, and I go through every single bit of what I think they could do in their life, and I don't really tell them what to do. I say, right, I try and get them to tell me. So I'll say, right, what things do you think you could do right now that would maybe get your sugars down, or get your cholesterol down, or get your blood pressure down, and like I'll let them kind of tell me what they think they could do, and I say, right, that's a good idea. Let's maybe think about, you go for a walk 3 times a week for an hour or something, and just very basic stuff, because everybody wants to go from 0 to 100 really quick, but actually small wins get you, psychologically make you feel better. If you say, this is why the New Year's resolutions don't really work either. I get people coming in and they say, I'm going to go for a run every single morning at 5 o'clock from January the 1st. I'm going to do a 10K. No, I'm going to do a 5K every single morning on January the 1st. And I'll say to them, right, when was the last time you got up at 5 in the morning? Oh, it's probably been about 10 years or something. I'm like, right, okay, so that's one strike. And I say, when was the last time you did a 5K run? Oh, probably about 5 years ago, right? That's strike number 2. And then I'll say, like, it's going to be cold and miserable and wet and dark. Have you thought about that? Yeah. And then it'll last for about a week or two, because they're not morning people. They've never done it before. They haven't ran that distance in a long time. But instead of going, I'll go for a 2K walk, at 8 o'clock in the morning just before I go to work, which is manageable, or just after work. People seem to be obsessed with it either being 0 or 100.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So it's all or nothing. But the actual people who do really well are the people that make the small changes and go, right, I'm gonna walk for a kilometre every night after work. And then maybe they up it to 2 kilometres, or they do something a bit different. Do you know what I mean? Like, and make the small wins, and then you go, oh, that was actually all right. Maybe I'm ready to go to the next step and the next step. But I just find the psychology all really good, because when you say to people like, when's the last time you got up at 5 a.m? And I've been a long time. I'm like, well, what's the chance of you actually enjoying getting up at 5 a.m. and dragging yourself out of bed when it's -2 degrees and it's freezing outside? Like, why give yourself that extra barrier? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether you run at 5 a.m, whether you run at 6 o'clock at night. It doesn't actually matter as long as you do it.
Exactly. It's that thing as well. It's that way. Or I want to have a lifestyle change, but they feel as if it needs to be a radical change. And when you talk about that habit thing, like, I can fall into a habit of maybe eating shite and that, and I'll literally feel it as if I'm fucking poisoned.
Yep.
And what I've realised in myself, see, sometimes you just need to focus on a day at a time. One day I'll just get up, I'll eat right for that day, maybe do a bit of exercise, and then you get your second day. And once you've got 2 days, man, it's a lot easier to like, kind of sustain.
Absolutely.
Because as you say, see, try to do that radical lifestyle change, it's not sustainable. I've sometimes been guilty of it. Try to change my diet to the point, cutting that out, I'm going to so many thousand calories. I'll maybe get to about the 10-day mark, always a 10-day mark I hit, and then I fail. And that in itself, it's like, that's a blow to the self-esteem. Because then you think, I can't do it. You don't realise you've not given yourself like high expectations that you probably weren't going to succeed with anyway, but you kick yourself when you're done.
Absolutely. Yeah, you end up in a worse off place because you've like, oh, that was what I was supposed to do that was going to get me on track, and I can't even do that, you know. Exactly. So you're even worse off. But yeah, it's just, well, look, when it comes to everything in life, it's not just exercise or sleep, because you know, if somebody's sleeping 4 hours a night, they're not going to sleep 8 hours 2 nights later. It's going to be a process, isn't it?
Definitely.
But people don't really have the time for the process. They're just like, oh, I just want to do that.
You want it here now, and that's why like the allure of these. All right, maybe I'll just get sleeping tablets off a doctor, then I'll go to sleep.
Exactly.
Just giving yourself another problem.
In sleep, you know, and sleeping tablets don't actually make you have a good sleep anyway. They just sedate you. So don't get me wrong. I do give them out sometimes for people who are really struggling and it's affecting their mental health and stuff, but only for a short period of time and only to get people into a pattern again. Because you've probably had it. I've had it where where I haven't been able to sleep because I've been overthinking, or you get that opposite way where you wake up at like 3 a.m. and it happens a few nights in a row, and you wouldn't even need to look at your watch to know that it was 3 o'clock in the morning because your body forms a pattern really quickly.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same with diet as well. Like you see all these influencers like Eddie Abu and everything. It's like, oh, just go on a carnivore diet and you know, and you'll be fine. But like that is just such an extreme way of doing. Like how many people can actually like enjoy their life while being on a carnivore diet that's so restrictive? And it doesn't actually have. You don't get enough vitamins or nutrients from a carnivore diet as well. Like it's just ridiculous advice. But people are doing it and then feeling like crap and then failing and then going, oh, but that was supposed to make me better. Instead of just going, you know, what I say to most people is, can you eat less things out of a packet this week? And most people go, yeah, I'll be right, okay, so why don't we try Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you don't eat anything out of a packet? And it sounds easy.
So what do you mean by eat out of a packet? Would you
like anything that comes out of
anything
that comes out of like for your meals, like anything that comes out.
Foods?
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
so
okay.
so you're going to get some chicken breast yourself and a pita bread and a bit of sauce and maybe you know, everybody seems to think that carbs are the enemy as well. You know,
I know.
You need carbs, especially if you're going to the gym and you're doing 100%. Other stuff.
I realised that we talk about the carnivore diet, because I realised that recently. I've had a few pals that have done it, and you've got great energy levels through the roof, and I was like, I really need to try this. But I was falling into that thing like, oh, I've got the energy, I'll need to do the carnivore, so I tried it. I lasted to the 10-day mark. First 2 days or something, I was like, I feel a bit more energy and that kind of thing. And then I was getting into the gym and I was drained. I was fatigued like instantly. And I exercise when I'm not injured every day.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, and people, I just need to push through it and that. But I noticed I had heart palpitations like constantly.
Yeah.
Like I was in my bed, my heart was gone. And there was a lassie that she follows me on Instagram. She's a nurse. So she messaged me when she seen I was on the carnival. She's like, I've been doing it 3 months. It'll be the best thing you ever do.
Yep.
And I kept messaging her. I'm like, am I made to feel like this?
I
felt terrible. I felt drained. And see, the thing is, I like a bit of yogurt. I like a bit of veg. I like a bit of fruit. See, cutting all that out. See, just the thought of, right, what am I going to have for dinner? Or meat. when we're going there for lunch, meat. When we're going for a snack, meat.
Yeah.
It was like just meat, and I'm like, I see the thought of it. I felt horrible. I felt terrible, and don't get me wrong, I only done it for 10 days, maybe. For what I hear, 2 weeks to the month mark is where you notice the benefits. I'm like, surely I'm at to feel this terrible to feel good, and that's when I realised I'm like, there's a time and place for everything. Don't get me wrong, you can maybe modify your macros, you can maybe eat a bit less of this, a bit more of that, but I think there's a time and place for everything. Especially for me, and maybe the carnivore does work for the likes of Eddie Abu and that kind of thing.
Yep.
But see what these influencers say, it kind of annoy me. It's like, this is the diet everybody should be eating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not the case.
Nah, because everybody's different. Like you had that experience with the carnivore diet. I watched that stupid thing on Netflix a few years ago. It was called something. Anyway, it was they were promoting a vegetarian or vegan.
That the vegan? The guy it was in the UFC.
So yeah, exactly. So I was like,
so
I said, right, I'm going to do that for 3 months, and I did it for 3 months, and I felt like absolute crap, man. I felt awful, and I was watching we've got one of these scales that tells you like your muscle mass and your body fat and all that stuff, and it's usually fairly accurate. It's not too bad, but I went from like single figure, because I was doing the boxing training at the time. I went from single figure body fat percentage to going up to like 13% body fat in 3 months.
Increased?
Yeah, because what was happening was I wasn't getting enough protein.
Okay.
So I wasn't getting enough, not enough calories, I think, in a meal. So I was snacking after.
Right.
So I couldn't make myself full from all the vegetarian stuff, like all the tofu and all that stuff I was trying. But look, at the end of the day, if it works for you, if somebody comes in to me and says, I'm on the carnivore diet and I feel fantastic, I'll say, good on you, keep on it. But I wouldn't advise it to other people, because it's basically like you're excluding so much stuff. So obviously, if your diet's crap to begin with, right? Say you're from Glasgow and you're used to eating chips and deep fried stuff the whole week, right? And I say to you, right, you go on the carnivore diet for a month, you'll feel fantastic, because your starting point and where you've gone to is so different. Do you know what I mean? So you're not eating all that crap anymore. You're actually just eating like reasonably good food, but just in a very small window of what you can actually eat. So of course you're going to feel better. But that doesn't mean that it works for everybody. Like if somebody's diet is reasonably good and they go to a carnivore diet, they're not going to see the same effect. But yeah, I just like, when it comes to that carnivore diet, it was all went back to that guy called the Liver King. And this other doctor, Paul Saladino, who now isn't on it anymore because he realised that he couldn't. He
was starting to get heart palpitations. And
exactly, so he was unwell on it, and he had to start eating fruit and vegetables and all that again and stuff. And look, it just shows you that look, these gurus will come out and tell you, yeah, do this diet and do that. And look, if somebody's trying to sell you something in their link in their bio, then you know you probably shouldn't really take what they say as gospel. I think.
It usually comes hand in hand. It's like, this is what everybody should be eating.
Yeah.
And go subscribe to my diet plan or something like that. It's always a sales pitch in a lot of them.
Exactly, because he never tells you about the Liver King, who was like on gear, clearly,
just up to the max.
clearly, and then got found out because of that more plates, more dates guy. Found old emails where he'd said like what he was on, and he was on ridiculous amounts of growth hormone and all this stuff. But it doesn't matter. He's already made all his money because he's saying, this is what I look like. I look like this because I'm eating meat and I'm eating bits of liver and I'm eating chopped up organs and all that stuff. This is what I look like. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. Like, how can you not? That must be criminal to say to young guys, this is what I look like. But it's because I eat this. Now go to my supplement page and buy all these things.
It's the guy, because they're selling a solution in it. It's that probably what I know. I think it targets a lot of people that are maybe low in self-esteem, or they're insecure, and they see somebody that size looks great, and they're like, how do I get that? And like, well, you can be like this. You just need to buy this, and people are like,
but it is bananas. I think probably in like 50 years they'll look back and be like, I can't believe that on like social media people didn't have to disclose what they were taking at the time of a photo shoot. Do you know what I mean? Because like back in the day when I was growing up, it was always like the Men's Health magazine where the guys had great physiques, but you were like, oh, that's a guy on the cover of Men's Health. But everybody now is like that. But you don't know what they've actually taken to get to that point. I mean, I see lots of young guys in the clinic now that are coming in that are taking stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing this for? You know what I mean? It's like people used to come in that were doing a cycle to go to Ibiza and all that. I think that's madness.
Yeah, a cycle just to go abroad. So
yeah, just for their
muscle
for their
on
holidays
the
and that. Yeah, I'm like, look, I mean, I say to them, like, you do whatever you want, but we'll try and do it safely for you. But at the end of the day, in my head, I'm thinking that's absolutely mental.
Nah, yeah, it's the first I've heard of that. But I could. It doesn't surprise me as well. I've done steroids myself like about 10 years ago, and I was really reckless with it. I was like one of the people, just a pure extremist in that way. But when I look back at it now, it's like I go to the gym for my mental health, to keep myself sane, to keep myself feeling good. The way that made me feel at the start, it felt good, and then near the end when I tailed off it, I just realised how much it affected my mood and my mental health. And I'm like,
don't get me wrong. I used to work, so I worked in a sports medicine clinic for a bit in Melbourne, like a really fancy one, and we used to get guys in all the time, and they were quite open and saying, look, this is what I'm taking, I just want to do it safely. And see, to be honest, I would rather people come in and do that, and we can monitor all the blood work and all the blood pressure and everything, and keep them healthy, you know, as opposed to just doing it from guys they listen to at the gym. You know what I mean? Like, there's never going to be a fully safe way of doing it, but I'm like I said, if people are going to do what they're going to do, I'd rather just look after them and make sure that we minimise the risks as much as possible. But it's just, I think it's just a whole thing to do with social media. Everybody wants to look their best all the time. Everybody wants to put out the idea that everything's perfect in their life, and it's like almost like a competition. But like I said, when you were growing up, same as me, we never really had that. So we you know, it wasn't like you weren't seeing all these pictures of perfect physiques and all that kind of stuff, and it must be pretty tough being like 15, 16 years old growing up in that.
Definitely, because for our era, it was like maybe, as you say, in magazines and that kind of thing, but when would you see a magazine unless you actually bought the magazine? If you were in a
but
shop,
even then, you if you got a men's health magazine, you know that this guy has been like training for this shoot, and it's like so it was always like, but that's a men's health guy, right? But you're seeing this all over Instagram, like all these pictures, all these random guys all have the men's health physique, but who knows how they're getting it?
It's because it's social media as well now. Like, you literally open your phone, you can open your phone to talk to your ma, open your phone to check the time, and you're exposed to all this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no getting away from it, and as you say, like this generation, it's like they've never known life without social media. And I wonder, like, when you look back in the studies, how that's actually going to affect people's lives, because society itself is already changing. It's like, see, for like 20 years ago, like, the difference in like society changes, cultural changes is massive. So where's it going to be in another 20 years? Because it's just rapidly accelerating.
I know. Well, obviously people get a quick hit of dopamine, do you know what I mean? I think phone addiction is going to be a big thing that's probably just not been spoken about just now. Like, if you look at how many hours you're actually on your phone in a day, like it's scary, isn't it?
It's
I know. You're like, how do you have that time?
It's trivialised as well, see, because it's so common. It's like, I don't think you really appreciate the seriousness of it, because it's like, you look at the dangers of like smoking. Like, right now, you know the dangers, you've seen the effects of it, but we're like in the generation where it's still relatively fresh. So maybe in 50-year time, or 40-year time, you look at, well, that's what prolonged use of screen time does. Absolutely, and you see the kind of AI images of this will be humanity in like 200-year time, and it's like this wee stumpy thing, an art's back and that kind of thing. Like,
just looking at the phone.
I feel like that now.
I know. It feels sad, because when we were growing up, then there was just like probably when you're 15, 16, you get like a Nokia 3310 or something like that, and you would just play Snake on it and text your mates. But imagine being able to just get a quick dopamine hit and look at stuff in between class and all that. I think like kids these days are just like, when I was away with the football teams, trying to get the boys to, we used to not allow them to have the phones at the dinner table, and like some of them would be struggling.
Really?
You know,
but when was that? Was that?
Nah, that was when I moved to Australia, I worked with the Australian team.
Right. Okay. When did you move to Australia?
2016.
2016. Yeah, so you've been there for what is that? 8 years
now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I travelled, like, obviously with the Australian team, we travel kind of further and go to, like, for away for longer, because it's a lot of travelling. But yeah, I used to feel like I was a school teacher, like having to knock the boys' doors and say, right, you need to get off your phones. And I think at the end that's why I kind of got a bit fed up of it, because I was like, I'm not here to be somebody's, you know, dad and say, oh, you know, you should probably come off your phone now, boys. You've got a game tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, it shouldn't really be up to me to do that. But no, it was good fun. I absolutely loved it. But I think everything has a kind of sell by date. You know, you get to a point where you're like, am I going to keep doing this for the next 10 years? And then you have to reevaluate what's important in your life. And then getting back to those things we were talking about, the sleep, the exercise, the eating, and the stress. I think people these days are, I don't know, I think the amount of times that people come in to see me, especially, I've noticed, and they're not happy with their job, but they just won't leave the job. And I'm like,
there,
I know, and they're saying, look, I'm rock bottom, I'm 0 to 10 mood, I can't sleep. I'm like, and they're like, I've spoken to my friends and my family, and they think I need medication and stuff like that. I'm like, right, well, there is a reason why you're doing that. Have you thought about looking for another job at the very least and making some kind of inroads? And they're like, oh no, I can't do that. And I feel like people just push through too far. Do you know what I mean? Until their mental health's rock bottom. And then when you're at that stage anyway, you're not in the right headspace to be looking for a new job. It's just a hard one. But I think I'm a big advocate of people doing stuff to de-stress. And I remember years ago we used to laugh at people doing meditation and all that stuff. And meditation doesn't need to be you sitting going and chanting and all that stuff. It can be listening to a bit of music and just going for a walk, or just taking a bit of quiet time and doing the breathing. And I know a lot of people these days are doing the kind of cold water therapy and the breathing thing. And look, I think most of the benefit of that comes from you're doing something that, like, if you go for a cold shower in the morning, it's probably the last thing that you want to do. Like, it definitely will stimulate your vagus nerve and it'll slow your heart rate down. But I think that's kind of over-egged. I think that's probably just a very temporary thing that happens. But I think where the benefits probably come from is that you're sitting, you can imagine a cold winter day in Scotland. It's freezing. The last thing you want to do is go and jump in that shower and have it really cold. So I think you almost feel as if you've achieved something by the time before you've even started the day. That's why we used to tell people, make your bed in the morning. It sounds stupid, but you've actually done something.
Well, sense of achievement.
So like, it's the small wins. So that's where I think those things help. And the breathing is just time for you to just not think about anything else except for your breathing. So I'm in for all those things. I know a lot of people go, doctors don't like all these kind of alternative things. Whatever works for you if it's working for you, keep doing it. But always time spent off of your phone is good time. So whether you're listening to music or you're doing a bit of meditation or you're doing some kind of guided meditation, I think it's a good thing. Because there's too many, you never get a chance to switch off. If you've got lots of ideas going around your mind and then you're watching social media, you're just constantly stimulated.
Definitely. I find that, see, the switching the phone off or putting it in airplane mode or do not disturb an hour before you go to sleep, that is really important. Because see, when I was talking about the last week, I was eating shit, I wasn't sleeping great, but I was looking at my phone right up to the minute I shut my eyes and see the difference. It's like depression that causes you a few days in a row. And now, like, when I'm going to bed, I'll set like an hour. I'll put it on do not disturb, and I'll read a book. And see, just that allows me to it's as if it kind of allows me to kind of tail down and ease into sleep. And see, when I get up, I feel so much fresher. And I'll not look at my phone for about an hour. I'll keep it in do not disturb. When I wake up, I'll get up, I'll do like my cold bath, a bit of stretching, bit of breath work, and see, by the time I'm going like that, right, now I can look at my phone, and that way you feel as if you've earned it.
Exactly, that's it.
Catch up, but it's that thing as well. It's like, as much as it likes us maybe do the content creation thing, you go on your phone, you're doing a lot of that, but how much time do you spend on your phone doing stuff that's actually important, and how much time do you spend mindlessly scrolling? Because
then you convince yourself that you're doing research, and you're
you find a way to convince yourself it's bullshit. Because I do it all the time. Oh no, I'm getting ideas.
But it is. Imagine if somebody took your phone off you for a week.
I know.
Do you think you'd survive?
The first few days, there's times before in the past. Obviously, no news a bit different, but in the past, I've lost a phone, or broke a phone, whatever. And the first few days is pure anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then after that, it kind of settles after a few days, and it almost feels peaceful. You're like, I like people not being able to get a hold of me.
Yeah, well, that's it. If people really need to get a hold of you, they'll get a hold of you somehow. Do you know what I mean? But I think we kid ourselves on that. Oh, what if somebody needs to? That's like, if somebody wants to get you, they'll get you.
Aye.
It's not like it's not like not having a phone is going to kill you. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I think the panic that would cause for probably 99.9% of people just shows you where we are.
100%. Because a few years ago, I deleted all my apps and all that kind of thing, and this is well before I done any of the social media stuff like I'm doing now. And you would feel a certain disconnect for your pals. It was like you'd be sitting at work, and then let's say you have a bit of downtime, somebody be on their phone. I'd be going on my phone and just looking at my emails or just try to look at something just to kind of fit in. Then there'd be people like, oh, did you see that video? And like, what video? And they'd be like, oh, this video. And then they try and explain it. Then they'd show you and you'd be like, right.
I know, because sometimes it's good to be bored. You know what I mean? Like you used to have to make your own entertainment. Do you know what I mean? And then you maybe enjoy the things that. When you actually go to a concert or you go to a football game, I think you probably enjoyed them more because you know your baseline dopamine was here, and then you go to something that you enjoy and your dopamine's there. Whereas now it's like this,
I know,
because you're constantly just stimulated all the time.
Do you think that's why a lot of people are a lot more antisocial these days?
Absolutely.
Why you go to the street, like the clubs are empty, the pubs are empty.
I think that's got a big thing to do with it.
Like the streets are deserted because
all the dating apps and all that now as well. You don't even need to leave your house. You can be talking to anybody, and I see it again when I was away with the younger boys when they're on the trips at the dinner. Like anytime they're walking about, they just got their phone in their hand, and look, it's just a tricky one, man. I don't know how you ever curb that.
That's it. Where does it go?
Because once the genie's out of the bottle, it's hard to put back in, isn't it?
I know, and it's like how the government can't start saying, right, we're restricting social media. You'll be like, well, wait a minute here, what's going on? And then before you know it, you get that. It either ends up in that kind of that 1984 novel coming to life, which looks like something anyway, or does it end up a rebellion? Do you end up and it's like it just opens up a can of worms, but it's like Pandora's box.
It sounds like a South Park episode, doesn't it? But I know you're right. Well, I think once you open Pandora's box, I think it's I think we're down a slippery slope. Like because I mean, 3 years ago, I was not on social media. I was on Facebook saying happy birthday to people. That was it. Like that was my only thing.
It's such a simple time.
Exactly. And then once you're on social media and you meet other people that are like on it. Like I went to the TikTok Awards in Sydney last year, and it was just blew my mind how these people what they're like.
In what way?
Like they were just. It was all just very fake. Like it was all like they were quite quiet on their own, and then as soon as like a camera was on them, it was like a performance type of thing.
Yeah, I could imagine that.
And I was just like, whoa. And there was some people who like obviously put on their thing for social media, and then in reality they're not really like that. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, oh, this is mad. And like all the money they were making from all these brand things and all that, I was like, well, this is a different world to me. I just come from working in the hospital the day before, and I landed and went to this, and I was like, this is like a different world from the one I'm used to. Do you know what I mean? But I quite like staying in the real world. I don't want to be anywhere near that. It's just bonkers.
That's the thing I always think as well, because you look at these people, and fair play to them, you see a lot of people that make livings after like going lives and getting gifts and that. But then you think you're like, right. Because as you say, everything's got a sell-by date. Where's TikTok headed?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see this being a sustainable career. Maybe some people could transition, and some people have ended up stars after the back of TikTok, but there's some people that have ended up stars after the back of TikTok, and there's some people that are just TikTok stars.
Yeah, absolutely.
What happens if TikTok gets... Look at America where they're trying to ban TikTok. So I think
absolutely.
all the people that are big on TikTok are there. What do they become?
It just wouldn't be... I don't think I would feel right about... and that's why I don't really do lives, is because, like, well, first of all, it would end up like me being at work, because I get asked so many medical questions that it would just be like... It wouldn't be fun for me anyway, because I'd be having to answer all these things. And yeah, I mean, I do like helping people, and there's some really desperate people who send me stuff in the messages, and I feel like I have to get back to them, but I don't want to be spending all my time when I'm not at work doing work things.
Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly, but also I wouldn't feel comfortable if people were like giving me donations and all that. I like that. Like I'm not motivated by money in the slightest. You know what I mean? Money is not my thing. I actually just want to give people advice and make people a bit healthier. So when you're not motivated by money, like these things don't really matter to me. Like but my own time is my own time. I don't want to be sitting on TikTok lives. While when I'm not at work, it's always been a bit of a weird concept to me, and especially when you flick through Scottish TikTok and people are doing weird stuff on it. You know what I mean? And people are like asking for we want to go for all these surgeries and get it paid for by people and all that. I think that's that's just a bit strange.
The wish lists and all that. Some people are absolutely shameless.
And then there was somebody like, I think recently there was somebody who was given loads of money and ended up getting into debt, and then like I think she took her own life or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
But in Scotland?
I don't know if she was from Scotland, but she was donating to Scottish TikTokers.
Oh, right. Somebody was donating to the TikTok, so she wasn't a TikToker?
No, she was
like
donating.
A fan of such,
but I think she donated all her money, and then like,
and then get really in a bad financial
situation. Bad way.
I remember something like that, but it's like it kind of rings a bell. But
yeah,
some people are quite. That's the thing as well. you go into TikTok, it's like, see all these people, there's a lot of fucking vulnerable people on that, but it's
Absolutely,
like, as you see, you go to these people, these charlatans that are trying to promote, they're trying to sell things, and it's like,
Yep.
they'll sell anything under the sun, it's like, they'll sell their own arse if they could put a fucking price tag on
exactly,
it. But
no,
there's
no.
people that are like there that will just, well, people buy into people. Like when you watch, like, see, you probably get it as well. See, when people watch your content,
Yep.
you'll probably meet people that watch it, and they'll speak to you like they've known you all their life.
Absolutely,
But you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's kind of,
I know.
an uncomfortable because it's a strange dynamic because it's almost like that way if you've met somebody at a house party when you've been blackout drunk,
Yeah.
but you don't remember it. But people build a relationship with what they see on a screen, and fair enough because a lot of people, they get to know your mannerisms, they get to know like the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. That's if obviously you carry yourself in the same manner you do it in the street, but when you meet them, it's just kind of, it's a weird dynamic. But as I say, there's people that buy into it. Like, I'll get people that will be pure invested in me to a degree. Not, I mean, it's probably a smaller percentage than the majority of people that follow me, but a lot of these people, like, you could literally put a shite in a cup and a lot of people would want to buy it just to support you.
Exactly, yeah.
Some people get exploited in that sense.
No, I'm the same. I'll never get used to that, man. I've been in the most random of places where I've just been sitting kind of staring into space or doing something, and then somebody will start talking to me as if like they know me, and I kind of look at them, I'm like, God, I can't remember who this is. Like, I'm genuinely have no idea. And they'd be like, oh, what's your stuff on TikTok? I'm like one of the times I was at the airport in Brisbane or something like it was, and this guy with a fluorescent jacket was kind of charging up to me, man, and I was like, I think I'm in trouble here or something like that. Like, I just got, I was like, God, this guy's like moving as if he's like, like as if I've done something wrong. Like, I thought I'd like done something at security or something like that, and I was like, what's going on? And then he's like, oh yeah, what's your stuff? And I was like, mate, you nearly gave me a heart attack, man. I actually thought I was getting like done for something. Like, it was weird. But yeah, yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to work out. You know, it just kind of gets you by surprise. So I don't know if most people that start talking to me go, God, he was a weirdo, man. He was kind of like all over the place when they start talking.
Because I think people as well, people develop a relationship with who you are on social media or the videos they've watched. Because unless they've been on lives, for the most part, a lot of people build this image of you in your head for like just stuff you've uploaded. So people will meet me and they'll probably expect me to jump about and do all this.
Exactly,
and there's times I do that, but I don't date in public. I don't really consciously date I'm not a fucking Jack in the Box, you know what I mean? But people,
what was it like at the boxing event? Did you get like lots of supporters there?
Aye, so a lot of people met us afterwards. It was right after the fight, so a lot of people getting photos and that. Because see, right before the fight, I made a point of I didn't want to be interacting with too many people. So see, when we done the weigh-in, I went home. I actually went for a cold dip because I was like, I don't want to be here all day because it'll be mentally draining. So I've done events before and I know what it's like. Everybody wants to talk to you because they've, for the most part, if they've not paid money for a ticket to see me, they know who I'm because they know I'm on the bill. So even if they meet me, they'll be like, what's happening? That can make it mentally draining.
Absolutely.
And it's mentally draining to get into a fight at the best of times. So I made a point of, before the fight, just try to avoid people. Then after the fight, obviously getting a lot of photos and that with people, man. But it was good, don't get me wrong. You felt like a celebrity, you know what I mean? Just had the fight and everybody's getting photos. It felt brilliant in that, man. But so I was the second last fight, so you can imagine time I got off, most people were scooshed.
Well watered that.
So I'm like Jaws of early camp, and I'm like, most people, everybody was brand new, you know what I mean? But I'm like,
because I've done those events loads of times. Like I did them all the way through till just probably a couple of years ago was when I did my last one, and you know, you'd have between 10 and 15 fights on a night, and it would start at 6 o'clock at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and go on the way through to like midnight or 1. But those last fights, everybody's just
it's
a
mental.
mess.
Plus as well, see when you're watching two people fight, it raises a certain energy in the room where people get rowdy. It's not like your typical pub or typical Taylor Swift concert. No, I mean, people get leery.
Absolutely.
Especially youngins.
Exactly.
That are there, because I was like that, right? What's to stop anybody coming? Obviously, Kaz putting it on. If I was 16 and I didn't like Kaz Milligan, it wouldn't take much for me to buy a ticket for 30 quid, but I have a chance at trying to fly a tumbler at him. Because this is the day you live in. People are doing a lot of things for content.
Oh, of course,
so if you're paying 30 quid and getting a chance, you can throw something at Kaz Milligan or do something. It's views.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's quite a.
But no, that was a good event. But I think it was good because it was a TikTok event, and there was everybody's kind of supporters came, and like it was the first of its kind. It was good, but it's just when you start boxing against people that have got serious medical issues.
So let's go into that because we spoke about it a bit before we done the podcast, man. But there's been a lot of back and forward online with obviously Kaz Milligan now fighting Nacho Novo. So what's your thoughts on it then?
I've already said in the videos I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried about Nacho Novo. I just feel like Kaz is trivialising like serious medical issues, and I don't think he quite grips. It certainly doesn't seem to grip the severity of what might go wrong. Like I said, I've been had to go into the ring with boxers in really bad ways before, and they're not guys that are in their 40s that are on blood thinners that have had strokes and heart attacks before. So it can when it goes wrong, like 99% of the time when I went to the boxing events, it was all like you're cautious. You've got to do your so weeks before you have to do your medical that we would do in the clinic. And then before the fight, I have to do an assessment on somebody head to toe. And then after the fight, I have to grab them and do a head to toe. There's a lot that goes into it if you want to do it properly. And certainly somebody who's had all those medical conditions needs things doing properly. Like I said, if he came in to see me and I was working in a sports medicine clinic, he would be getting a full workup of about 10 different tests to make sure he's fit to fight. But a guy, if he somebody said, "Oh, but he's declared himself fit to fight," but that doesn't count for anything.
No.
He has to have medical clearance.
Every boxer in the world.
No, exactly. I know. So that's not good enough for me. And look, I hope I'm wrong, but just with all the responses and the back and forth, I get the impression that it's just not been thought about as seriously as it should be. Especially, he said his dad was back sparring after a stroke 2 weeks later. That's just, I mean, whether he was or whether he wasn't, it's not. It's dangerous. Well, and I'm not here to be going to the doctor and say, but I've got the experience of working at the Commonwealth Games twice for 2 different countries. I've done like hundreds of fights. I don't know how many fights I've done, but I'll tell you, every time I've done a fight, I've been nervous. The nerves never leave you as a doctor. Because I've had to throw the towel in for people before and have to put tubes down people's throats because they get knocked out cold.
Really?
Yeah, it gets serious. Like, and I've seen people with broken jaws, having stitching every single night. So the event finishes and you've got to stitch people up till about an hour later. I've broken bones all over the place. But then the other things that you don't think about is the concussion afterwards, and certainly we've had to put people through the CT scanners and the MRI scanners on the night or after. That's serious stuff, man. I mean, when I worked with Willie Limond, when we used to do the amateur stuff, he was really good, and he tragically passed away a while ago there. But he was really good at looking after the fighters, and that's what you need. You need somebody who's he's been there. Do you know what I mean? He's been at the top.
Right, knows the road.
But yeah, I just feel like if you're going to put on an event and you choose your opponent to be somebody who's had medical problems, then you need to make sure they're medically fit. I just don't know why that isn't a thing. Why? I mean,
I know. It seems like it's the way it's been made out as if it's a pure strange request, as if it's almost like nannying. But at the same time as well, you could understand with the property boss, people were saying a thing about the age, but there wasn't. It's like age is age. Not. I mean, if the property boss is a fit and healthy guy.
Yep.
But as you say, because I didn't realise. I just thought if you had a heart attack, you had a stroke, you had it, then whatever life went on. I didn't realise you had to be on these medications for the rest of your life. It's
so basically the because I said to Kaz in a video, I said, look, he's on this and this, and then he said, oh no, he's not on any of those medicines, and I was like, well, right, I brought up the guidelines because there are guidelines for everybody who's had a stroke, whether you've had a stroke when you're 30 or whether you've had a stroke when you're 70. You're on the same stuff. It's to stop you from having the next stroke. So you need to be on a blood thinner, and blood thinners are. Look, I've seen people that have scraped their leg off a bush and they're on blood thinners and they can't stop bleeding. So you imagine punching somebody to the head.
I know.
It's just it's an increased risk, but to mitigate that risk, you've got to be more thorough, and you can't just be like, I don't know what your medical was like before your thing, but a lot of the time, if it's young, fit, healthy guys, I'm just doing a head to toe and looking at your heart tracings and doing all the other stuff. The Commonwealth Games is a bit different because if you have any cuts, you're not allowed to fight. So we really have to look at all the fighters and make sure that there's nothing at all. But that's all really thorough, and that's the only way that makes me feel secure doing ringside stuff is that I've been thorough, and I've done everything I can possibly do to make that person as safe as possible in there. What was your medical like?
So, as I say, I went away, then came back. So by the time I came back, the doctor was looking for me to get hold of me for the medical. And that's when I get charged with 25 quid. They're like, you need to pay this 25 quid for insurance. And I was like, right, what if I've no got it? Like, you can't fight. So I actually had 25 quid in my pocket. So I was like, take it, because I don't want to be thinking about this shit. So I like focus on this fight. I think it was just, that was actually funnily enough, when I fought an exhibition match like the September of last year. And it was just like a couple of rounds. It wasn't in fancy or that. And it was the exact same doctor that had seen me. It was just a kind of basic medical, as far as I'm aware. It was the exact same thing I'd done before. But the thing is, see, during the fight, in the first round, me and Jasper, we clashed heads, and then immediately Jasper punched me right in the ear. So right away, I felt as if my head was underwater.
Right.
So right after the fight, my head was ringing, and I didn't see any doctor. There was no like consultation or nothing. And the next day, I felt like I had fluid coming out my ear. So I actually had to go to the hospital.
Did you burst your eardrum?
So I think that's what I got. I think it was a perforated eardrum.
That's a
so
burst eardrum.
Is that a burst eardrum? So I went down to the hospital because I had to get a CT scan.
God, that's fair play to you for keeping on fighting, because that's a horrible one.
Because
it makes you feel like you're all over the place.
I was, because I was like, because I remember,
your equilibrium goes.
I remember going that way, and I was wobbling, and then I was it was midway through the first round, so I'm still having to fight, and then I remember getting back to my corner, and I was like, what is going on here? I've never felt anything like that.
So what I did when I was here and what we did in Australia, I mean, don't get me wrong, Australians are definitely a lot stricter, and when it comes to sports medicine, they're definitely a lot further ahead than here. Now, before the fight, you had to get grabbed for a full medical, and then straight after the fight, you have to get, like, before the next fight starts, you have to get seen again.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so it's a full head to toe again, and it slows things down a little bit, but yeah, I mean, that's the way, that you've got to do it properly. But see, what would happen is when you go for your medical, did you have to go for a medical before the whole thing, or was it just before?
No, just on the day.
Because we do a medical before, and you have to bring in a wee book that gets filled out, and it gets filled out every time you have a fight, even if you're just an amateur.
What about if it's like a white collar?
Yeah, white collar's different. No,
So
I think, but you still do have to go for a medical. But
do you?
because we get paperwork to fill in. So most people will fill in like a questionnaire, right? And it will be, I'll say, 25-year-old guy, no medical history, taking no medications, blah blah blah. So I'll see this before they come in, and I'll be like, right, 25-year-old guy, fit and healthy, head to toe, exam fine. He's probably going to be fine. I'll look at his heart tracing and all that stuff, and then. But then if I got a 48-year-old guy with a stroke in whatever year, heart attack in that whatever year, that changes what I do in the medical. Because I'm like, right, have you got a letter from your cardiologist? Have you got a letter from your neurologist? And then I have to put all those two together. Because like I said, you can't just go a guy saying he's fit to fight, because he doesn't even understand the dangers, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel fine, so I'm alright.
Do you think, is it seeing like Kaz, do you think it's naivety, or do you think he just doesn't care?
Do you know what I think? I think he thinks people have got a personal vendetta against him, and anything that's said that's not positive is criticism, but it's not. It's the way he takes it. He gets very defensive about it. But what he should be doing is going, like, he should say, right, do you know what? That's a fair concern. Here's what we're doing. But instead, getting really defensive doesn't look good. It made me uncomfortable actually when I watched the video, because he was really angry. Whereas, like, fair enough, if he was fighting a 25-year-old guy his own age with no medical issues, you wouldn't say a thing. But this is somebody who needs to be looked after, because it could go really badly wrong. And it's not me saying, oh no, don't let him fight. Let him fight as long as he's had the full workup done. But that's going to be expensive as well, because, like I said on my TikTok video, it's not an NHS issue, it's a private issue.
Private. See the fact that as well, it's like, because it's not an amateur fight, it's not a professional fight, it's a glorified white collar.
Yep.
Does he need him to be licensed to actually fight?
It's a really good question. No, I don't think he does, and I think that's the worry, is that he can go in very, very loosely with like just a very basic medical. That's what I'm worried about. But I mean, I'm hoping from a kind of moral point of view, he actually goes, do you know what? I probably need to get this guy checked out and just make sure everything's fine, because it's like I said, you probably need to see a private neurologist to go, I'm on this blood thinner, I'm going to get punched in the head. What do you think? Because right now, it just doesn't seem as if that's been done.
Nah, definitely not. As you say, it's a private issue. So
it's an insurance thing as well. Like, you've got to declare all your medical issues for the insurance. So if something goes badly wrong and done that properly, then again, real trouble.
100%. I wonder if though the fact is why they're not taking these issues so seriously, if it's naivety, or is it, do you think the original plan is to go in, drum it up as a fight, but then go in with an exhibition, just tap each other or something, and just hopefully they can sell the fight on the basis it's Kaz Milligan versus Nacho Novo?
I think that's probably what's going to happen. That's the way they'll get away with it, and they'll say, watch your head punches and all that stuff. I think it will just be, I think it'll be a glorified exhibition match.
That's if it goes ahead. That's
because look, I mean, I'm saying it from a place of genuinely, look, I don't really know Nacho Novo, and I see him the same way I would see anybody. I'd be like, are you looking after this guy properly? Because if he's desperate for money, which is what people are saying online, then it seems like a bit of a liberty to be taken with somebody, just for using his name to give him a payday. But the guy's got health issues. But it's not just me saying it. I kind of feel like, Kaz blocked me. He didn't even doesn't even want to reply to me or whatever, or even ask me for advice. What I mean? If he's so blocking me immediately just tells me that he just doesn't want to hear it. Even though I would say if it was anybody, if the property boss had had a heart attack or a stroke before, I'd be saying the same thing.
It's come to a place of concern, because that is in your moral guideline, because as you say, you've got into the medicine to look after people, as you say, you had that incident with your grandfather, and plus as well, it's like, whatever reason you get into medicine for, I'm sure after working there a certain amount of time, that kind of natural care of people must get ingrained in you, even if it's your first line of why you got into the profession in the first place. It just must be a natural instinct.
Again, because I've seen things go so badly wrong, sometimes in fit guys, you've got guys that are at risk, you need to take the precautions. I mean, it's from a place of, please look after him, man. You know what I mean? I would be very, and just the whole replies makes me think that they're not thinking about it enough.
That's the handling of it as well. It's the kind of
and the fact it's blasé. It's like, oh, my dad had a stroke and he was back sparring in 2 weeks. It's just very it's like something you would say to somebody in the playground. You know what I mean? My dad was back sparring in 2 weeks, and it's not big and it's not clever, because he could have easily had another stroke there. That's just. There's reasons why the rehab is slow. Don't get me wrong, exercise is good after you've had a heart attack or a stroke, but it needs to be graded, and it needs to be like that. You can't just go from 0 to 100 again.
Definitely.
Especially sparring as well, when somebody hitting you in the head or the neck is just pretty crazy to me. But it's just something they've obviously not thought about.
Probably been fucking body sparring he's been doing or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Shoulder tig or something.
I think it's just a lot of shite, to be honest.
I don't buy it for a second, but it's that way as well. It's like you kind of, my dad came back for a stroke after 2 weeks. You think, I'm not saying it's no true, but I don't believe it for a second. It's like, it's as you say, it's like if there's valid concerns for a guy that's had a stroke and your dad's had a stroke,
I know.
You would think
when you say that as well on social media, like, imagine all the people that have had strokes. Because he said the line he used was, my dad went back sparring after 2 weeks because he's not a snowflake. What is that about, man? That's just like imagine all the people that have had strokes and watching that, or on social media, or somebody's family that's had strokes, and you're hearing somebody like play it down like that because he's not a snowflake. Exactly. I mean, it's mental, man. I've seen people with strokes have the worst times afterwards. Like, they just never get back to their normal self.
Your life can be totally changed.
So yeah, fair enough. Maybe his dad had a mild stroke or something, or a mini stroke, and got back really quickly. And I'm happy for him, but I wouldn't be advertising that that's what you're doing. It's just it's not responsible. Like, I mean,
reckless.
No, especially when he's got a decent following now. Whether you like it or not, he's got a decent following.
A lot of eyes on him.
Exactly. So, but saying stuff like that doesn't help anybody. I think it's just garbage, man. And I think it just shows somebody who's not taking things seriously. I hope I'm wrong. But I genuinely hope I can turn around and say, no, look, we did all these tests on him. He went through the ringer. We know he's fit to fight, and I'll put my hands up and say, right, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? But I don't see it happening.
Nah, definitely. I'm with you in that one, man. So see, when you started with the kind of calling out the medical misinformation, what was it that caused you to start doing that?
Well, so I started way back. I think it was 2020, and I was teaching at a university, and I wanted to start a YouTube channel. And basically, I was having patients coming in to see me in the clinic, and they were showing me these videos, and they were saying, "Is that right?" And it was about loads of stuff. But then, the obviously the COVID vaccine and COVID in general, there was loads of things coming up. And look, again, it all goes back to me saying I want people to hear both sides of it, right? Mm-hmm. So if somebody comes into me and they says, there's a video here, and it's let's say it's a young girl, 25 or whatever, and she brings in a video and she says, this video says that the COVID vaccines cause infertility, and I'm like, but this, I've never even heard of TikTok or anything before that. I'm like, well, what is this thing? And she's like, oh, it's just a social media thing. And I said, right, well, what's the study or what's the source or whatever? And she's like, oh no, it's just this person saying that it does this. And I'm like, so I downloaded TikTok and I found this video and I looked at it, and it was somebody who'd read a study in rats or something like that. I can't really remember the ins and outs of it, but essentially it was absolute crap. But because these girls who are 25, who are probably planning on having kids in the next few years, were reading it, they were going, oh, I'm not taking the vaccine. And I'm like, well, fair enough. I mean, if I read that and I was in your situation, I probably wouldn't want to take it either. But let me go and have a look at it, and I'll tell you what I think. So I said, right, book back in next week and we'll go through it. So I read through this thing, and look, medical research is so boring. I hate doing it. You have to read the full study. You can't just read a conclusion at the bottom. But I read through the studies, and that not just that study, all the studies that were on it. And look, there was women that were getting pregnant in the trials of the thing, so there wasn't an infertility issue. And basically, I said, look, from my reading, I've read this, and this is what the papers actually say. So it wasn't me giving my opinion. I don't go, or in my opinion, you should take the vaccine because I think that this is this. I'm saying, look, this is what they've done in the trials. This is what they've done in the evidence. So it's really up to you what you want to do about it. Like, because this is the evidence says that there is no issue and that there's no link, and it was found that there was no link. But I was getting people, and it was directly affecting their ability to make a decision. Now, like I said, if they watch that and then they watch my video and I say the papers are saying this, and they still don't want to take it, then I say, that's fine, you've made your decision. But I felt really bad that people were making decisions based on stuff that was kind of misrepresenting, but also wasn't backed up by anything as well. So I was kind of seeing lots of this kind of stuff, and look, don't get me wrong, I went through the good bits about the COVID vaccine. I went through the bad bits, I spoke about when people had myocarditis after the vaccine. I was first person on TikTok to talk about that. First person on TikTok to talk about there was a guy, a doctor actually, that had passed away from the AstraZeneca vaccine. So, but I think there's a lot of people obviously strong opinions, but the videos where I said the bad stuff about the vaccine, or the bad stuff like the adverse effects, that stuff was always like, they kind of ignored that. But when I actually went through and debunked some of the other stuff, they got very, very annoyed. It was a really tough time. I had people sending me all sorts of messages and saying, I'm going to come to your clinic and find you and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
But just because you were debunking some of these
things? Yeah.
Was this all just tied to the COVID vaccine, or was this just all
No, that was probably... I was doing other videos as well, but the COVID stuff was the stuff that was getting...
Was that the hot topic?
Yeah, that was a hot topic because, like I said, people got really strong opinions about it. And look, for me, when I was in clinic, if you came in and said to me... I don't want to take the COVID vaccine, but my worker wanted me to take the COVID vaccine, and I would say, look, I'm not giving you the vaccine because you don't want to take it. It's down to everybody's choice, but I think you need both sides of the balance of the argument to make that decision. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was getting people coming in with all sorts of stuff, and there was things like Joe Rogan podcasts where he'd have people on that were like all for other treatments apart from vaccines and other stuff, but he would never have the guys that were on that were for that, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like a fair balance. And then I'd get people coming in saying, I want ivermectin and I want hydroxychloroquine, and I would sit with people because I had to read through all this evidence and read it all and just say, look, it actually doesn't do anything. Like, and they get really annoyed because they say, oh no, but you guys are withholding this from me and we know it's a treatment. I'm like, why would I do that? In fact, one of the things that really surprised me, and this will show you how deep-rooted people's views about it was I had a woman probably about a year previously who had been to see quite a few doctors before with kind of weird symptoms, but like nothing was ever picked up. And she came in to see me, and I did the once over and kind of felt her tummy, and I was like, I'm not quite happy with this, and did some blood tests and sent her for a scan, and she ended up having a really early form of pancreatic cancer that was very subtle, and we found it. So anyway, she goes to the oncologist. She has an big operation where they basically chop out half the pancreas. Is doing really well for somebody with pancreatic cancer. So then a year goes by, and it's time. She comes in. She's talking about the COVID vaccine. She says, "I don't want to take it. I've heard really bad stuff about it. I don't want to take it." And I'm like, okay. I mean, it's hard for me because I know she's at risk because she's a cancer patient, immunosuppression, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, look, it's your decision. But the thing that shocked me was that she was happy for me to treat her and find the pancreas cancer and get all the treatment for that, but at the same time she kind of thought that we were doing her some kind of danger with the vaccine, which I just couldn't understand. But obviously I had to respect what her decisions were, I mean, if she says I don't want it, then I'm not giving it to people. I mean, I had people come in that were almost about to give the vaccine to, and they'd say, oh no, I feel I'm being forced into it, and I'd say, right, well, I'm not giving it to you.
Do you think that was maybe by the government though, rather than yourselves?
Yeah, look, I think the government, I don't know what it was like here particularly, but over there, I think the Australian government were pretty rubbish at communicating to people. Like, I mean, I think communication, if you got that right, then it would have made it so much easier for us. I think we just kind of got the frustration of the general public.
You bore the brunt because, as you say, the front line, you always bear the brunt for
but
that.
Yeah, I just found, look, I respect anybody's decision to whether they want something or they don't want something. But like I said, the other stuff that I was seeing as well, which was quite shocking, was like I was getting phone calls from people's families. So like there's a young guy who was like 17 that passed away suddenly in Sydney or something like that, and like all these kind of people had said that he'd taken the vaccine. He hadn't taken the vaccine, but they were like hounding the family and stuff like that. And this family got in contact with me and they're like, can you do a video saying, clearing this up and stuff? And I thought, God, that's pretty. It was just very polarizing, you know what I mean? So some people were just like completely against it, and some people were completely for it, and it just created a horrible kind of atmosphere, I think. And but it was all down to communication, I think. It was a tough time, man. But I spent a lot of time researching for videos. Like I said, I would spend hours on them, going through the data, and then you get people in the comments just saying, "Nah, I don't believe you." I'm like, well, I don't have anything to gain from, like, whether somebody came in to see me in the clinic and I gave them a vaccine or I didn't give them a vaccine. It didn't really bother me. Like, it was for some people were saying, "Oh, you get paid more if you give them." No, I didn't. It was the same. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't gain anything from it. And then they would say, it's all a big pharma thing and all that. And I'm like, look, I hate big pharma as well. I'm not a fan of big pharma, but we kind of do need them because they like, we've gone from living about 100 years ago to 40 years old, and now we're living to 80 years old. So something's gone right.
Definitely.
Not that I agree with everything they do, but they certainly did not need a pandemic and vaccines to make money. They make more than enough money, horrible money. But look, I think a lot of people in the UK and Australia get mixed up with what it's like in America with insurance companies, and I think they're probably more led, but with the NHS certainly, like, who wins from a global pandemic? The NHS was already on its arse. It didn't need that. It was probably the straw that broke the camel's back, to be honest. And the same in Australia. Nobody wins from it. But people would say big pharma making loads of money, and I get that, but they were making loads of money anyway. You think about big pharma; they need people to stay alive for longer. Because they make more money off of 80-year-olds on 10 medications than anything else. You know what I mean? That's where their money comes from. So it's in their interest to keep people going. But yeah, when I came back to Glasgow after the pandemic, like, I mean, look, the stuff in the hospital, we were seeing people. Like, you'll never see it again in your lifetime. It's a once in 100-year thing. But we were seeing young people coming in that were going like that, like, really quickly. Like
COVID.
Yeah, so like just.
Was that without the vaccine?
I think it was more so with people without the vaccine than with. But this was in the very early days where a novel a novel virus, like a new virus, I don't think people really understand the concept that you don't have any immunity to it. It's not like a new flu variant or a new kind of one of the other viruses that have been about. A coronavirus is not just a respiratory virus either. It goes into your bloodstream and it does weird stuff to other organs. But the reason why it's so dangerous is that it doesn't matter whether you're 20 or whether you're 80. If you've got no immunity to it, it can affect you both the same.
Right. Okay.
But when I came back to Glasgow in the Royal Infirmary, some of the consultants that I worked with they would have been consultants for 40 or 50 years. Like, they would have seen the most traumatic stuff. Like, we're talking bad car accidents, trauma, people passing away, everything, the worst you can imagine. And they said that that first 6 months when COVID kicked off was the worst thing they've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, my sister, she was a nurse. I think she was an auxiliary nurse, but she says that, like, because they talked about the waiting times and all that kind of thing, but she was like that, saying to me like that, it's still, people are still getting ill, people are still it's just there's more, they've not got the staff to handle it, so it doesn't matter about how many people's coming in, they've not got the staff to deal with the workload and that kind of thing. And plus as well, she was telling me, like, if somebody, say, was a patient and they went into like a cardiac arrest, say if they maybe had COVID or anything, see, remember at the start they had the really strict guidelines, like they would need to go and get suited up before going in, and saying that by the time somebody went in, they were dead. So it was a lot of people were getting affected on that side of it, and it's like, you can understand people are distrustful in that, but at the same time as well, it's not as if nurses want to see people die, or doctors want to see people die. It's the last thing, nobody... A very small percentage of the world want to see people die, and they're all going to become a doctor to do it.
Don't get me wrong. There's quite like a couple of my pals that were like, the vaccines and all that stuff, and I was like, look, if there was some kind of big cover up going on, like, I'm straight down the line. I don't come from a long line of doctors. There's no establishment in my family. Like, I would be the first person to say there's something going on here, but when you see it in the front line and you hear the experience here from being on the front line, it's just like, it's hard. I get it. Like, 2 years of lockdown does weird things to people. Like, when you can't get out and do your normal thing and people are cooped up, it makes you, it makes your too much time to think is probably not a good thing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it was just horrible. And then look, the obviously, people have had reactions to the vaccine as well, and for some reason people seem to think that me and all the other doctors are like have zero sympathy for them, when in fact, I've always said anybody who's had a reaction or something's gone wrong, they should be looked after. It's the same as anybody who's had COVID and has got long COVID and all the problems that come with that. Everybody should be looked after. But I think there's a lot of anger around that as well, and it's been a really tough situation, and it's been a shit time. It's been a shit time for people. It's been a shit time for the workers in the hospital. It's just, I think it all came down to communication. I think if we could have just had a bit of a more of an open platform to talk to health officials, or get better health officials in to talk to people, and be a bit more kind of human to human, as opposed to government telling you what to do. But I think a lot of the time when you say to people you have to do something, they're going to rebel against it, aren't they?
Nah, that's it. It's that natural thing. It's that authority figure. That's what a lot of people struggle to do with, me included. No, I mean, I took the vaccine when I was in prison, but I don't know if it was the vaccine. I feel as if, I don't know what it is. See, whenever I go for cold baths, when I come out the cold bath, see my fingers, see for the blood to go back to my fingers, it can take hours. I feel as if I didn't notice that before I got the vaccine. It feels like in
Raynaud's,
my hand, Raynaud's, but I don't know if that's caused it, and I don't know.
It's tough, isn't it? It's trying to work out whether, because you how old are you now?
32.
Yeah, so Raynaud's would probably, it can be age dependent as well. So sometimes, I mean, it's hard to work out. The issue is with the coronavirus is that we'll probably find problems in years to come as well. With we know that viruses cause certain conditions, and probably it's going to take a long time for us to work out exactly how kind of damaging it's been.
Maybe.
But yeah, no, it was a shit situation. I think it could have been done a hell of a lot better. Certainly, if you're locking people up, you've got to give people access to outdoor gyms or something. I think the government could have done a hell of a lot better there. But yeah, like I said, people, I'm all for a big advocate of people making their own decisions. Like I said, for me personally, when I was giving out vaccines or not giving out vaccines, whatever the person said went, and I'm a big advocate for that. But I always want people to be able to make a decision based on the both sides of the argument. So I think that's important in anything. It would be the same as if somebody came in to me and for any other topic, I would say, right, well, this is what the medical evidence says. It's not even me giving my opinion. It's like, well, this is what the research says. It's all boring stuff, but unless you dig down into that, and you had people online who have never read a research paper in their life, like coming up with these mad conclusions from things. Which was it's not helpful because it makes it look like they're trying to hide something in the research.
Aye.
And then when you come out and say, no, this is actually what the research says, and it's like, oh no, it's just a cover up and all that stuff. But it wasn't a cover up. We had a pandemic, a once in 100-year pandemic that. But we could have done better in a lot of different areas. Like I said, I put on 10 kilos as well during COVID because I couldn't get out to exercise, and it affected me as well. But yeah, we could have done a hell of a lot better. I think locking people up for long periods of time, you've got to have a plan to do something, because I don't think that's good for anybody.
Definitely, I think because it was so reactionary as well. It's like right, we need to act fast, and don't get me wrong, as you say, it's like. I've only got the experience. I've been in the UK when it happened. There was times you're like, right, wait a minute, this could have been handled better. But as well, seeing you kind of peel yourself back, because before I was on the conspiracy side of it, wait a minute, no, there's something no right here, and there probably wasn't something right there, but it was probably something no right in a different place than I was focusing on. Seeing you peel yourself back, you kind of go, wait a minute, how much of this am I investing into? With my own suspicions, it's just a distrustful thing in it, and it's
absolutely,
that authority figure. Why are they telling me I need to stay in the house? Who are they to tell me?
No, exactly. No,
human beings, as much as we've been led since inception in humanity. You've had clan leaders, you've had tribe leaders. People, I think a majority of people, a lot of people have got a natural dislike of authority. They just don't like it because people are free spirits.
Absolutely.
There's some people that like being directed and guided. Some people maybe. They prefer that direction, or some. I don't think that suits. No,
it doesn't suit everybody. You're absolutely right. It depends what personality type you are as well. But you can't. That was kind of reflected in society as well. You got this kind of group that were just really, really felt really strongly about it. I'm glad we're kind of out the other side. I mean, it's still kicking about in places, but the problem with the very first one was. Hitting an immune system without any immunity, you don't know what way your immune system's going to react, and it's the people's immune systems that have overreacted where they've got the problems.
Right, okay.
So because once it overreacts, then you're in real trouble, and your kind of lungs shut down and all that kind of stuff. But as it's gone on, the new variants have become less. But it's going to be with us for forever. It'll be like, when the flu first kicked off. This is just going to be one of those things that comes up from time to time, and you'll get people getting infected with it and a bit of a headache and a sore throat, and then 6 months later you might go, oh yeah, it's come about again. It will just be like one of the normal kind of seasonal type of things. But I remember at the very beginning, I'd spoken to, because I was working at university in Melbourne, Monash University, and we'd some really, really intelligent epidemiologists and virologists, and I was like, I'd heard through the grapevine that it was going to go on for a long time, and I was like, no, surely not, because originally I'd heard it was, when it first came, they said, oh, this could take a year to blow over or whatever, and I was like, God, that can't be right. So I spoke to the guys at uni, and I was like, what's the go with this? And they're like, that's probably looking more like 2 years. And that was at the very beginning, and it just blew my mind. I was like, how is this possible? How is this, what's going on here? But again, it's just humans able to move freely over the world. Something that would have stayed in one little part of the world now is just able to go all over.
It's insane. It's plus as well, see, we talk about, we've got so much right now that we take it so much for granted. See, we go back to what you said about Big Pharma, and there's pockets where you're like, wait a minute, it's like the profits they make are fucking exuberant. There's like insane profits, but when we look at the Big Pharma thing, and there was a point I was like, Big Pharma prescribing antidepressants, make money off this, all that. Yeah. But then I'm like, see, like now, I get hay fever in the summer. Yep. Big Pharma sorts out hay fever tablets. It's there is a time and a place.
So there's like a kind of selective.
You forget, but then you're like, don't get me wrong. Unless I really need to, like with hay fever, I can't really avoid that. I need to take antihistamines or no.
Yep.
If I get a sore head, I'll avoid taking a paracetamol unless I'm really in pain and maybe an ibuprofen or something, but I'll try and avoid it as best I can. But you realise there is a time and a place for all these things, and when you look at where we are now, like, we've got instant connection to each other. Like, we've got phones. We've got. I can book a flight and go to the other side of the world tomorrow. You think
Absolutely.
like 50, 100 years ago, man, you were lucky. If people went on a voyage, they jumped in a ship. It's like if your loved ones were going in a ship to another country, there was a very good chance they wouldn't make it there.
They would, and
it's like, imagine you're waiting on a ship coming into dock. You've not got a phone. You've not got any like communication. You could be waiting in, let's say, like your father, your children, somebody coming into the dock, and you've just got a date. You don't know where they are. They could be at the bottom of the sea. They could be taking off track, and it's like
absolutely.
You realise we don't have that anymore.
No,
We've got instant communication, but we don't realise it. And don't get me wrong, it's like when we're talking about, we've got all these social media apps that are meant to connect us more. They've connected us, but they've also disconnected us.
Absolutely.
It's a crazy fucking time. We've got so much. It's like we've got more than kings had. Like,
absolutely.
The rich had 50, 100 years ago. We get more than that, and it's you don't realise that.
Absolutely, and it's just where it's going to go is the worrying thing as well. But like I said, I'm quite openly. I don't like big pharma anyway, and if there was if there was anything suspicious going on, or there was anything like there would be people that would have blown the whistle that were close to it. But there was a lot of kind of alternative doctors that came out and said a couple of things, and they got big followers. Like these doctors as well would have been making a lot of money off of it from the alternative treatments and stuff. So like you got big pharma, but then you've got the alternative pharma, if you like, and it's the same as these gurus that are on TikTok that give you solutions to your problems with one tablet. They're making money as well.
Exactly.
So it's not like they're doing it out of the goodness of their heart. Do you know what I mean? It's like because I see these ones all the time. It's like, have you got brain fog? Have you ever felt great sometimes but not so great other times? Do you ever struggle to sleep? Do sometimes you sleep too much? Like the most vaguest of symptoms, and then they go, all you need is to go into my link in the bio and get this supplement and you'll feel fantastic. But then the psychology of it is as well. Imagine if you're somebody who's just been sitting at home and you actually go, right, well, I'm actually going to do something about it now. I'm going to order these supplements. So you've ordered these supplements, they come 2 weeks later and you start taking them, you're like, yeah, I feel a bit better because you've actually done something about your situation. Probably more than the supplement itself. You see what I mean? So that's where the whole psychology comes from.
It's like you don't go to the gym, but I'll go to the gym, but I need to have a coffee. I feel dynamite like that, probably because you drank a coffee and went to the gym. It's like I
do feel sorry for people though, because there's a lot of people when I say, look, if you could just go to the gym and do a wee bit, like you don't need to do too much, just go in and ease yourself in, like probably because we've been going to the gym for years and years and years. It's like second nature. You walk in, you don't really think about it, but like there'll be a lot of people who would be quite intimidated to walk into a gym. It's an intimidating place
if your first time getting into a gym.
So I usually tell people to go in at like 10 o'clock at night when there's nobody there and just go for 5 minutes and go on the bike and just get yourself there, and then you'll realise it's not as bad as what it is. But you don't really need to go to the gym if you're good at other stuff. Like not everybody would enjoy going to the gym. Like for some people it might just be a very basic thing of going for a walk. Like I think we just need to accept that everybody's different, and some people can push themselves really hard at the gym, and some people go for a walk, and as long as you're moving, I think that's all right.
That's it. Anything's an improvement. And as you say, see when you talked about meditation earlier, I didn't even realise it was quite recently that walking is a form of meditation.
Absolutely.
And I would notice it when I'm out and walking. I would feel so peaceful. I would feel as if I was like operating at a higher level of consciousness. And then I think I read somewhere that walking was a form of meditation, and I'm like, and it just makes so much sense.
Okay, anything where you're not, where you're concentrating on something else, or you're not looking at your phone. At any time where you do that is good time spent, because you just get to quieten down your thoughts. Like,
exactly.
I think the whole TikTok thing is you have to go from being nothing to being a superhero, which is just not going to happen.
Definitely.
For most people, like everybody thinks they need to be David Goggins. You know what I mean? Like it's like, if I'm not running 50 miles a day, I'm not doing well. You know what I mean? Like, and fair play, he's a machine, but not everybody can do that.
Exactly. And
like if you've got a full-time job in Glasgow, you're not going to be David Goggins.
As well, I take a lot of inspiration for David Goggins. See, when I'm out running, that kind of thing, like you can push, and that is great. But at the same time as well, when you listen to David Goggins, his achievements are great, and it's like the stuff he says is profound, but he seems fucking miserable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like because I seen his wife share a post, and it was like midnight or something. And he'd one of the, I forgot what he calls him when he pulls the big sack on his back and just runs. I forgot that he's got a name for it, and she was following him in the motor video.
Right.
Like, not many people know what it's like being married to
Yeah,
David, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
'cause he just gets an idea, like,
Yeah.
he has to go
And
up
then
and
he's
run,
gone, yeah.
and he'll just need to go up and run, and it's like, as much, it's admirable, but to the actual reality of living that life,
Yep.
it's like, and I understand he's pushing his body and his mind past like human expectations,
Yeah,
but at the
absolutely.
same time as well, it's like, there's a trade-off to everything,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't think people, they see it on social media, it's admirable, but they don't see
Mate,
the trade-off.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's in every part of your life. So exercise, nutrition, sleeping, stress. It's like, how much is having? So people are like, oh, I want to have single digit body fat things, right? Well, what the effort required to do that, like, you're gonna have to, like, simple things like you might not be able to go out for dinner with your pals. You're gonna have to be very strict with what you're eating. And is the juice worth the squeeze? You know what I mean? Is it worth making yourself? I'm not gonna say miserable, but it's hard. But you know what I mean? Is you restricting yourself, getting down to that 9% body fat? Is that the happiness you're going to get 9%? Is that going to be worth the effort that you've put in for it?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
sometimes you just have to say, nah, it's not. But because of the way things are today, if you're not perfect, then you're. But I would say to people, look, stay at whatever body fat percentage you feel good at. You know what I mean? Like, whether you're 10% or 15%. I mean, I used to be obsessed with being single digit body fat numbers, and now I could sit at 14, 15% and feel great and not have to restrict myself in any way of what I'm eating or where I go out for dinner or what I'm drinking, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it's the same with exercise as well. Like, if you smash yourself every single night, well, first of all, you're either going to get fed up of it or you're going to get injured.
Aye. Telling me.
I know. Yeah, we've all been there. Like,
I know.
I snapped my Achilles. Probably contributing to it was that I was training too much. Because sometimes you can go the opposite way and be obsessed about the training,
Aye,
which
and it
happens
becomes
sometimes.
unhealthy,
And then
becomes
and then you kind of have a bit of a moment of clarity where you go, well, hold on a minute, I'm training twice a day here. Like, again, the athletes I used to look after, the Olympic athletes, at one point I was training more than they were.
Really?
Yeah.
How often would they train?
No, they train once a day, but they train very differently. They'll do like certain different types of training, and they'll have lots of recovery days as well. So
They're
easy
kinda
things.
targeted training.
But yeah, they've already built up their cardio. They don't really need to.
Aye, so it's just kind of.
It's all tactical. Yeah, it's very tactical stuff and lots of recovery. And it was a bit of an eye opener for me. I was like, I'd get the weekend warriors coming in that would do their the weekend runs, and I'd be like, you're running more than a professional athlete. And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, yep. And I'd be like, you're probably going to injure yourself if you keep maintaining that. It's just not possible. You know what I mean? But like I said, is the juice worth the squeeze? If Eddie Abu tells you to go carnivore diet, is that going to make you feel happier or worse?
Yeah, that's exactly like it. Sometimes it is good to try these things to realise it's not the answer.
Yeah.
For me, the carnivore, I see if I never tried that, I'd have probably had it in the back of my head, would this be better than carnivore? Would I feel more fit? No, I've done it. I'm like, it's the trade-off thing. You realise, wait a minute, I can't eat sweet treats, I can't eat fruit, I can't eat veg.
You know who I think it's good for? I think it's probably good for people that have got like irritable bowel syndrome, right? I mean, I would maybe say to somebody like that to try it, because all it's doing is excluding so many foods that are probably going to irritate their guts, you know what I mean? So in certain cases you could do it, but then work back the way. So say, right, you start on this diet, whether it's vegan or carnivore or whatever, but then try adding other things in. You know what I mean? Go like reverse engineer it type of thing. Because I think for those people it's fine, but for your average person, it's just it's drastic, and you don't need to be like that.
It's unnecessary as well, because
It is
you think of the
unnecessary,
variety
yeah.
we've got. Because see, when I limited it, I'm like, what the fuck can I eat?
I know.
And I like my food because I don't drink, I don't do drugs. The food's my one vice. Sometimes I eat clean. I think what I've realised now, it's like, see, I think it's like the 80-20. If you 80% of the time you're eating good food, 20% you can have that. And see, that more relaxed thing. See, try to restrict yourself too much, it's no enjoyable. Then
No,
there
exactly,
times
yeah.
I was like, why am I fucking doing this to myself?
No.
And
The thing is, the other thing that none of these creators talk about is that people don't just eat when they're hungry. They eat for other reasons. You know, it's social. It's for your mood. You know, there are lots of different reasons. When you're stressed, it's not just eating because you're hungry. You know what I mean? If it was that easy, then nobody would be fat. You know, if you were just ate when you were hungry, nobody would be fat. But a lot of the time, it's just bad habits, going for a snack or going out with your friends for dinner and stuff like that. But if you restrict yourself in that point, it's a balancing act, isn't it? If you say, "Oh no, I can't come out, guys, because I'm on the carnivore diet and there's nothing like that," like that, that kind of thing. And does that make you worse off or better off? You know what I mean?
I know. It's like, it goes back to that trade-off thing. It's the things you don't consider, but in their respects, I would always encourage somebody just to try it. See if you've got a thought about something, try it and see if that's really what you want. But can I ask your opinion on? I see a lot of things online. I've never tried it myself, but I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on hydrogen water.
No, that's a lot of nonsense.
Is that a lot of shit? Because I've heard things in as well, but see a lot of people, I'm not going to name, but I've seen some people and it's always it shows you it's in tap water. It's that thing.
Gary Brecker, isn't it, that goes on about all these other things. Like the thing about Gary Brecker is he. Have you seen his stuff?
I've seen some. I've seen Dana White and that's done stuff.
Exactly. So he wears the extra small polo shirts and has a whiteboard and scribbles things on it. But actually, look, he's the guy that's famous for making Dana White healthy, if you like, right? So Dana White always says that he about three years ago, whatever, he went to the doctors and he said, "I feel like crap," and they said, "Well, you're 20 kilos overweight and your blood pressure's through the roof, so we need to put you on blood pressure medicines and you need to lose weight." And he said, "Oh no, the doctors just told me that they were just going to give me medicines and make me try and get my blood pressure down and all that." And he said, "But then I went to Gary Brecker, and Gary Brecker says that he comes up with all sorts of nonsense. He says he did an infrared sauna every day. He did." He took these methylated vitamins that he promotes. There was two other things, but they were all really like they wouldn't make you lose 20 kilos and they wouldn't get your blood pressure down. Basically, it was all just like alternative kind of stuff that he was selling. Actually, like he's like, "Oh, by the way, you can buy these things in my bio." But then very quietly after he'd said all these things, he went, "Oh yeah, and we just got him on testosterone replacement therapy and got him to lose 20 kilos." Like said that really quietly, but in actual fact, those two things was probably the things that helped him the most. Because look, if somebody comes in to see me that was like, say Dana White came in to see me, I don't know how old he is, but I'm going to guess 53 or something, right? 53-year-old guy, his blood pressure's through the roof and he's overweight, then it used to be that people would say, right, you give people a chance and you say, you've got a chance in 3 months' time or 6 months' time. If you lose some weight and your blood pressure comes down, then you don't need to go on medicines. But there's a bit of a change though, because we think that the higher your blood pressure is for a longer period of time, the more damage is getting done to your kidneys and all the small blood vessels in your body. So actually, what the doctor said was right. You should put people on medicines to begin with, and then if they lose the weight, you do that and you bring it down. So Dana White just typically goes, "Oh, the doctors couldn't help me. I went to see Gary Brecker and he did all this hoodoo stuff." Doesn't mention that you get put on TRT and he lost 20 kilos of weight, which is, that's going to put your blood pressure down normally and make you feel great anyway. If you've got low testosterone as a 53-year-old and you go into testosterone replacement therapy, of course you're going to feel fantastic. But it's all just a marketing ploy to say Gary Brecker knows and does better than doctors do. Now, don't get me wrong. The alternative medicine can work for some people, and like I said to you before, if somebody comes into me and say, "Oh, I was watching Barbara Neal and I started taking this and I feel fantastic," I'll say, "Right, keep going with it." And I think probably some of the reasons that they do is because these people spend more time with people. So if you imagine you go see a doctor for 10 minutes and you get hurried out the door and he says, "You just need to lose weight and take these blood pressure tablets," then you're going to be like, "Oh, the doctor just gave me tablets and didn't actually tell me." Whereas if you go to see somebody who's like a naturopath or alternative medicine people, they tend to have longer appointments, like a half-hour appointment or 45-minute appointment, so it feels like you get more time, and listening to people is just as good sometimes as actually giving them a tablet. So I think that's where it all comes from. Like I said, I'm not averse to alternative medicine. The where I do have a problem with it is when you follow somebody that says, "Oh yeah, just take this vitamin, take that vitamin," but then you follow them into their kind of more dangerous things like, "Don't take chemotherapy if you have cancer, do this instead. Don't do this if you have a stroke, do this instead." That's the stuff where I'm like, come on, that's not right. You could really cause problems to people from doing that,
Have you ever had any people come in that in your time as a doctor that's maybe needed chemotherapy and they've maybe read
Oh.
something online or
Absolutely,
and they've just said, no, they didn't take it?
yeah. But I had a guy that had a really bad melanoma that didn't want any treatment for any reason. For his own reason, he wanted to do the alternative medicine thing. And look, my conversation with people is, look, if that's what you want to do, then do it. Because it's your decision. Whatever decision you make is the right decision. So I can only say, look, if you don't go and have, it's not really chemotherapy with melanoma anymore. It's something called immunotherapy, where they stimulate your immune system to get rid of the cancer. Anyway, if they say to me, and if I do my spiel and they say to me, "Now, look, I've heard what you're saying. I know exactly what will happen if I don't take it, but I'm going to go forward with alternative medicine." Then look, my last thing that I say to people that make that decision is, Steve Jobs had a type of pancreatic cancer, right? That if he'd had it operated on in the very beginning, he probably would have almost certainly had a normal life or something very similar. But he decided that he wanted to do alternative medicine, which is, again, his decision. Now, think about the resources that Steve Jobs would have. Like, infinitely rich, in America, access to the biggest and best of all the people in the alternative medicine world. And 6 months later, his tumour had got much bigger and he couldn't go for the surgery anymore. So he went back and said, "Can I get the surgery now?" And they're like, "No, it's actually inoperable now." So that is the big warning to people. So look, everybody can make the decisions. I just say, look, as long as you understand what will happen and you can make that decision. But it's really hard because you see these people come in 2 months later and then 2 months later after that, and you see them doing this thing. And I'm not saying that, Western medicine is the only way, but it's backed by things that have worked in the past. We do studies on people, and there's evidence that goes behind it. But I feel really sorry, and I feel really sorry if those people have been influenced by stuff they've seen on social media, because if it's left that much of a lasting impression to them to actually make a life-changing decision, then that's the kind of thing that makes me a bit upset. But like I said, people can make their own decisions.
Seeing your experience of people that have maybe come in and you've recommended maybe the chemotherapy treatment or the kind of Western treatment,
yep,
and they've opted for the alternative remedies. See, what would you say? Would you be able to tell me what the percentage of those people who have opted for the alternative medicines that have had any success or survived?
To be honest, it doesn't happen that often that they just go, look, I'm going completely alternative medicines. There's only been a couple of cases that I've had where they've just said, no, I don't want anything. And look, melanoma, the treatments are much better now, but without treatment, it's horrendous. Like you go down very, very quickly. You go downhill very quickly. No, look, I've had people before where they're like, look, I'll go and see the oncologist. We'll do the chemotherapy, but I'm gonna do this diet and I'm going to take these things. I'm going to do all that stuff, and I'm like, absolutely, go for it. That's the way to do it. And then if you feel like the traditional stuff isn't working for you, then keep going with the alternative stuff. But for me, I've seen two bad ones. It was a melanoma and a testicular cancer in a guy, and again, there's Indigenous Australians, Aboriginal Australians that again don't really trust Western medicine as well, for probably for good reasons. I mean, I think there's lots of reasons why, but this person wanted to do their kind of alternative, like traditional medicine, and again, it just spread very quickly, and it didn't go very well.
Okay.
But like I said, it's hard to watch because I have to see them come back in, and every time I see them, they're worse off, and it gets very close to the end, and it's quite hard. But like I said, my big thing is people make their own decisions. You make it, sometimes I feel like, you could, this isn't the right decision, but it's not my decision to make.
Yeah.
So as long as, and sometimes I sit there for ages talking to people. But yeah, like I said, some people just got some very strong views.
You can only respect the decision, can't you?
But yeah, I used to work at the Beatson as well. It's just a horrible thing.
Hand.
Yeah. But yeah, I do feel like that. We're talking about vulnerable people as well. Like when you see people advertising vitamins to people who've got cancer, I think that's really quite. I don't like that because that's targeting a vulnerable group that will do anything you know. There's and the way they do it tends to be, this person had stage 4 cancer and they took this vitamin and then it went away, but there's no proof that this person ever had that. It's just a video on TikTok, you know. But yeah, it can be really hard, so really frustrating. But the cancer treatments have got so much better recently, though. I had somebody. I always get little comments on my videos sometimes, and somebody said, "Why have we not had a cure for cancer yet?" and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's not that simple. Every single cancer, there's over 200 cancers. They're all different. They all come from different cells. They all respond differently. They all present differently. So having one cure for all the cancers is just never going to happen.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So because they're all caused by different things.
Uh-huh.
But no, the treatments are much, much better. So like, for example, with melanoma, if you had a stage 4 melanoma 10 years ago, you'd probably last for 6 months. Whereas now I've seen people living for 10, 15 years, 20 years.
Right, okay.
Yeah. In fact, normal lives. I mean, it's only because it's only been here for the last 10, 15 years, they're still alive. Mm-hmm. But that would have been unheard of before. But yeah, like I said, going back to everything, if we could get everybody to just do a bit better with their diet, their exercise, their sleep and their stress levels, I think we'd be doing, I think the world would be a healthier place. People would be happier. I think the hospitals wouldn't be as busy. But the problem is, there needs to be some kind of incentive from the government. You know what I mean? Whether you're taxing fast foods and putting subsidies on healthy foods and making it easier, you know, like pre-made healthy foods that are fresh, you can just put in the microwave so time's not an issue. Or subsidising gym memberships for people. I don't understand why they're not doing this already. You know what I mean? It's not. It just doesn't seem logical that you can just allow people to go and do whatever they want, and then you know that in years' time they're going to have diabetes or high blood pressure or kidney disease or heart disease, and then just deal with it then. I don't understand why we don't just deal with it now.
I know. It's that kind of thing as well. It's like you could stretch really into it and go down the conspiratorial route. Plus as well, I think it's just a sheer neglect.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Like, see, like fast food, convenience food, it's like 90% of places. See if I want to walk out and get fast food, I'll get it easily. See if I want to go out and get a banana or something, I'll be struggling.
No, absolutely.
I'll be having to ask
I have noticed actually since I've been back in Scotland that the like eating healthy here, even in the supermarkets, is a lot harder than it is in Australia.
Is it? Eh?
Yeah, everything's much healthier over there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. They're really big on healthy stuff. It's really hard to actually get.
In hotter countries like Spain and that, the diet's quite good. I don't know if it's even in the UK the diet's fucking trash, but America's the same. The diet in America's fucking terrible.
I think it's just trash when you can feed a full family McDonald's for, I don't know, 10, 15 quid.
Like, that's the thing. That's the incentive as well. Especially nowadays, it's like what I could buy for 50 quid of healthy food, I could probably get 100 quid's worth of junk.
Yeah, you could have your full week's worth of food.
Like a protein bar, I know it's not the healthiest, but it's a healthier alternative. £2 for a bar.
No.
But I can go and get 4 bar of shite chocolate for £1.
And
you're like, it's like sometimes if you're on a budget, you're like, fuck's sake.
But then it goes back as well. I always get really annoyed that we don't teach health stuff to kids at school and be like, no, it doesn't need to be complicated stuff. It's just like here, this is the kind of things that are good for you, and this is the kind of things that are not. Like just in the stuff they serve at schools, at lunch, and everything should be good for you, not crap. But I'm starting to sound like Eddie Abu now.
See, that's the thing as well. As much with Eddie Abu, I mean, sometimes I understand and respect these messages. Try to say like, listen, a lot of this is shit. But at the same time as well, you go into an Eddie Abu video and you're like, mate, he's a break, man. It's like, I think there is a time and a place for the shit. As much as processed shit is shit,
I think we can all agree that the processed shit is shit. And look, he goes into the supermarkets and goes, they're pretending that this is healthy. Well, nobody's pretending that the Mars bar is healthy for you. Do you know what I mean? Like nobody's going in there going, that's good for you. Like everybody kind of knows that, but like his message is right, but he's just turned into a bit of a kind of caricature of himself. You know what I mean? Like it's just like an influencer shouting in a supermarket,
it's like
gets you views.
In it, man. It's kind of, it becomes that thing. It's like you say it and it gets the views. And I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but you find a lot of people, like the views can, I use the word poison you, but it can change your direction to the point where you're playing to an audience. Whereas if you're going in and say, you go into a supermarket and say, this is shit, because maybe he does believe it, but it's more just to kind of get that kind of audience interaction.
But it's everything in balance as well, isn't it? Like if you, like I said, you've got to find that balance. If you go one extreme and you make yourself miserable, then that's not good either. Do you know what I mean? Like you could, those carnivore diets are garbage. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend anybody doing that. Any kind of restrictive eating. Just look, if you really want to tighten up your diet and you want to lose a bit of weight, then do some intermittent fasting.
Aye.
It just means you can eat less you eat calories in a smaller window, so you're less likely to eat a lot of calories, you know. But don't make yourself miserable. Like it does. But yeah, just think back to when people do their New Year's resolutions. Do the opposite of that. Like you'd much rather be in a small calorie deficit for a long time than a big calorie deficit for a short time, because you know what one you're going to actually be able to do.
Definitely. But can you recall probably what is the hardest thing or the worst thing you've had to experience in your time as a doctor?
Actually, probably young people dying.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. When I worked at the Beatson, there was a haematology ward next to it, which is like kind of like blood cancers and bone cancers and stuff like that. And I saw kids pass away from cancer.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I think that probably changed me quite a bit actually, because I don't know. I never really. I don't think I was ever fully committed to believing in God and all that kind of stuff. But I think when I saw that, I was like, this is not. This is there's some like a God wouldn't do that to people.
So can I push you towards atheism?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think I ever went to church after that again.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so, see things like that happening. What kind of processes do you need to kind of develop in order to like manage that? Because it's not as if you can go, I'm not doing this anymore. Because you're stuck as a doctor. It's like, you accept that you're going to need to deal with that. How do you? Because it's like, do you get therapy for something like that? No,
you but that was the big issue, is that you don't get any help. You just like, people just say, oh, you're right, yeah, good. But now, like, basically what we do, we're talking about at work the other week there, you just suppress it. And then, I still wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and see things that I'm like, God, I thought I'd forgotten about that.
Really?
Yeah,
so
it's bad. Yeah. And then like from in the Royal, that we used to see people, been stabbed or in car accidents and stuff like that. Man, it's awful. Like, I mean, it really makes you think that, like, I know a lot of people that think about God and Jesus and all that stuff, but when you see a kind of mangled body, it just looks like a bit of meat. Right, it's like any other animal. It could be any. It's like, I don't think we're that special, to be honest. I think we've just evolved consciousness and we're just hairless apes spinning around a ball of fire. I actually just think that's what it is, but purely because most people are kind of sheltered from that. But I just think if there was a God and this was all created and it was all deliberate, then why would you give a 7-year-old like a bone cancer and make them suffer at the end? I just don't see how that could be. And I speak to religious people and they say, "Oh, it's a test. A test for what?" You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, that stuff really hit me hard. I really struggled actually working at the Beatson, and the nurses were really good. But I used to come home and just like burst out crying, and struggled to sleep, and it was just a very hard job. But I really respect all the people that work there still. I don't know how they do it, but it's just. I think to do that you have to really learn some defense mechanisms and really be able to shut down. I just couldn't do that, and I just thought about things too much.
No, I can imagine, because you're human at the end of the day, and it's like, as you say, you might prepare how to diagnose conditions, how to prescribe medication, but I don't think they teach you in medical school how to deal with watching a child die in front of you.
Nah, absolutely not. But they don't really teach you any of that stuff at all. But like, I think from what I'm hearing now, they're definitely better with the younger doctors and the younger nurses coming through it, like saying, because like I said, I've seen some awful stuff where you just go through to and there's a little huddle and people say, right, you okay? Yeah, everybody's fine. Right, back to work. And but now they're actually making people go to therapy, and I think that's a good thing. No,
definitely.
But yeah, it never leaves you, but it definitely changes you. I definitely feel that changed me. The way I look at life, and that's probably part of the reason why I, get up and just go places and do things and try and live the best.
Appreciation for life.
Absolutely,
as well.
Yeah. Like I think that again, working in the cancer hospital, we used to see. People would come in for their treatments, and every time they would come in, they would be looking a bit more unwell, And I think it was a guy that was. I think I was maybe. I think he was the same age as me. I think I was 28 at the time, and he was 28, and he had stomach cancer. And he came in 3 times over the 6 months, and the last time I was like, when I looked at him, I was like, oh, this is your last admission here. And then he passed away a couple of weeks later, and it was awful.
Did you say that to yourself, or did you tell him?
No, I didn't say that to him. I was
internally.
Yeah, just internally. And then I think on the same day or the day after, there was like a 40-year-old woman that had 3 kids with breast cancer that passed away. It's just awful. But the reason I feel so strongly about the people with cancer being told, take this vitamin, do this, do that.
I see it.
I see it, you know. It's and trust me, if that stuff did work, we'd be giving it to people. It's not like we're not withholding things because there's a cure. And you get that conspiracy as well. Or the big pharma make money off of. You imagine how much money big pharma would make if they cured cancer, because they could charge whatever they wanted for it. Like people just seem to think, oh no, they've got a cure somewhere, and I think that's a real kick in the teeth to people who have had cancer themselves or one of their families suffered, because it's just we're not that advanced in medicine just now. We don't have answers for anything, and sometimes we need to just put our hands up and say, you know, modern medicine is still really young. We've only been, 100 years ago the treatments were crap. Even like when I was talking about my granddad having a heart attack, if that was now, you'd have gone and got a couple of stents and lived for another 10 years probably. But people that had heart attacks 25 years ago, 30 years ago died within 6 to 12 months from heart failure. Because we always get the old doctors saying, back in my day we used to work all the hours of the sun and look after all the patients. Like, well, yeah, but all the patients that you look after were dying because they didn't have the treatments that we've got today, you know. Like medicine, modern medicine's come a long way. We've got a long way to go. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes with AI and stuff like that.
I know, definitely. It's like this century, it's going to be very interesting in the advancements.
Yeah, it will be.
Changes, because it's like with any type of change, there's a lot of stuff gets cast away.
Yeah.
And what is deemed as like normality right now can be a thing of the past. It will be a
absolutely,
thing of the past. So it's like
it will all be kind of epigenetics and things like down at your DNA, they'll be able to tell you what conditions you're at risk for and stuff like that. But I don't really know. Would you want to know that or not? You know,
that's the thing with life. It's like you're trying. It's that goes back to that control thing we talked about earlier on. It's like you look at that guy. I forgot his name. You've probably seen him. The guy, he's trying to reverse his biological age.
Oh, aye, yeah.
He's been on diet with a CEO.
Yeah.
He talks about he sleeps in a room with this filtered air in it. He doesn't. He eats for like 3 years, so many calories a day.
Yep.
The guy looks like a fucking vampire.
Oh, he does.
It's like looking at the guy and I'm like, you look like a corpse, but you don't want to die. That just screams fear.
I don't think he's even that old, is he? Is he not just in his mid-40s or something?
Is that the age is?
Yeah, but he looks older.
It's like, and it goes back to that thing, like, right, you may live longer, but you might walk out in the street and get hit by a car.
Exactly.
It doesn't safeguard you against death.
All this, because there was a guy called David Sinclair. You heard of him?
I think I've heard the name. But
so David Sinclair always goes on about this NMN, which is like nicotinamide mononucleotide or something. Anyway, right, he says that he gave it to mice that were 85 years old and it gave them 2 years extra life or something like that. But would you want 2 years of extra life if you're 85?
That goes back to that quality of life, what I mean? It's like people get confused with longevity
exactly,
compared to quality. So I'd rather have quality than longevity.
Oh yeah, I see it all the time in the hospitals. So you get people that are in their 90s and they're like, I feel sorry for them sometimes because they're like, I don't want to be here, and I'm like, I can't blame you, to be honest, because you're just sitting in a bed all day. Like, I mean, it's sad, but a lot of the time, it's because the families really push for these people to get all the treatment that they can, but they just end up going back to the same starting point of being in bed all day. Like they get a pneumonia, which would normally pass away from a pneumonia, but you give them antibiotics and they get better, and then they go back to their normal way of living again in the bed. I think it's quite sad sometimes. We're keeping people alive sometimes for the sake of keeping them alive. Probably for the families more than anything.
Exactly, man. And as you say that, people don't want to be here, but it becomes a form of imprisonment.
Absolutely.
When living becomes imprisonment, that's when
I think your best bet is being up to a healthy 80-year-old and then probably going then. I think if you're older than that, especially as a guy, you're probably going to struggle.
100%.
But yeah, quality of life over longevity, absolutely. But that guy, going back to the David Sinclair thing, so he always goes on about this NMN, and I mean, don't get me wrong, when he first started talking about it, which was maybe 10 years ago, like, you know, anybody that hears about anti-aging, your ears kind of perk up, and you know, like, you kind of look past any, you know, sometimes you get caught into it. So you, like, it happened to me. I looked at it and I said, oh, look at this, he's done studies in rats and all that stuff, and normally I'd be like, no, that's a lot of rubbish, you know, it doesn't translate to this. But your guy, I don't know what his name is, the guy that's spending, what does he spend?
It's like $1 million a year.
$1 million a year. He doesn't even take that NMN stuff.
No.
So if he's not taking it, then and it costs peanuts, then it's probably not worth it. But people get trapped in certain things. Like if it says that it will make you live longer, like of course everybody's going to go, oh, well, I might as well take it, because if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I haven't lost anything. You know what I mean?
People look at that like it's no 2 years added on to now. It's 2 years added on to the end of your life, if you're lucky. And when you're probably wishing you were dead.
I think Billy Connolly does a joke about it, doesn't he? When he talks about, you're not a 25-year-old man for you know, it's not giving you extra years when you're at that age. It's giving you extra years at the tail end when you don't really, like I said, you're better having a good quality of life up until 80, and then as opposed to going on and on and on and just kind of suffering. I think
it's a fear of death. That, see, that guy that spends $1 million a year in his body, that just screams fear to me.
Absolutely.
A guy's just sitting there, it's like that fear is going to be the thing that imprisons you. And as you say, it's like you could do all this shit and die of something totally unrelated, because you're not safeguarded against death. You're safeguarded against your body aging at the rate of a normal body.
Absolutely,
but it's like, as that quality of life, it's like, what kind of life are you living? Are you happy?
I mean, he certainly doesn't look any younger, does he? He just looks older. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see. But like, I think the other thing as well is people say that with the aging, do you think about the people who live long? It's all the wee old women that are skinny that hardly eat anything. So like, probably with the fasting, you probably do extend your life. But again, do you want to be a wee skinny person that eats once a day, a couple of biscuits?
Exactly. That, like, fuck it, give me my pizza, man.
Exactly.
Take a few years off me.
Because going to the gym and building muscle is, you know, that's the opposite of what you should be doing if you want to live for a long time.
Nah, exactly. Nah, you want to enjoy it. That's what life's for. Life
Absolutely.
is for living. Life is for living. But anyway, that's been an amazing podcast we've just done. I've
Cheers,
really enjoyed it. I feel as if we could go on and do another fucking
exactly. I think we've been talking about everything and everything.
Definitely, man. We could solve the world's issues, man. But see, before we finish, I've just I'd like to finish off with a wee positive note. I've got a lot of young people watch my podcast, man. So if you would be interested in imparting some wee final pearls of wisdom, just like a message for the youth, if you've got it and you'd like to share, if you could share that, that'd be fantastic.
My biggest thing is whatever opportunity you're given, just take it. Especially when you're young, if you get an opportunity to go somewhere or travel or learn something new, do it, because you get a bit older and you look back and you'll be like, I wish I'd done that, or I wish I hadn't. And it's normal to be nervous about things like that. Now I got the opportunity to go over to America when I was at uni. And I kind of didn't really want to, because I was in Glasgow. You kind of get really kind of comfortable. But then I took the chance and went. It was the best thing I ever did. Just opened your eyes up. You know, as a 20-year-old kid, you kind of like, wow, there's a world out there. But just life's too short. Take every opportunity. Work hard, push yourself. But enjoy yourself at the same time. I think it's all about balance.
That's exactly that, balance, man. Enjoy yourself and don't give yourself too much of a hard time for enjoying life.
Absolutely, yeah. You're only human. You're going to have ups and downs. That's normal. Don't get one of the things that you used to say in the football, which I quite liked, is never get too high and never get too low. So you know how like what's that, like the kind of graph with the wave on it. So like if you enjoy the highs too much, then the lows, the top of the high to the bottom of the low is a big fall. So they used to say, and I think that's probably a good way of living. Not like stoic, but like, you know, if you keep more on a level like that, like, you know, when you feel yourself kind of getting really high and being like, I'm in a really good mood. I think you probably just check yourself and say, right, enjoy it, but don't go up too much. But never get too high, never get too low. I always thought that was quite a nice one. Because if you get the swing from the high to the low is
it's a bit of a plummet, innit?
Yeah. But no, it's good. What you're doing with the podcast and inspiring young guys to get out there is amazing because, like I said, you'll blink and you'll be almost in your 40s, you know what I mean? And life will just pass you by. But I think getting out and taking every opportunity that you can get and pushing yourself and investing in yourself as well, I think is a good one.
Aye, no, it's a great thing, man.
So,
it's
like,
one of the most important things you can do.
Exactly.
In your life.
Whether you do some kind of course to upskill or develop yourself, I think it's always worth. It's never wasted money when you do that.
100%, man. But thank you very much, Dr. Michael.
No worries, thanks for having me.
I look forward to catching up with you on TikTok. Dr. Michael, people like, subscribe, and don't get wide. Catches.